Chapter 1452. The Ant Emperor was overjoyed and immediately prepared to take it. "You can't take it." Qin Feiyong hurriedly stopped it. The Ant Emperor looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyong gave a simple explanation of the various conditions required to consume the potential pill. "So that's how it is," the Ant Emperor muttered. Swoosh! An iron box appeared. Next, the Ant Emperor carefully put the potential pill into the iron box like a treasure and then kept the iron box in its chi-si. The Spider Emperor looked at the Ant Emperor with envy in his eyes. What a shame! The giant crocodile snorted coldly, but it also yearned for it. What a joke! In this world, which creature didn't want to open the door of potential? The Ant Emperor ignored the giant crocodile's mockery and turned to look at the Spider Emperor. It said happily, "Old friend, did you see that? This is the benefit of following this human." The Spider Emperor was silent. "Don't be embarrassed. You have seen this person's strength and methods, as well as his attitude towards us beasts. He won't treat us as cannon fodder." The Ant Emperor laughed secretly. The Spider Emperor pondered for a moment and glanced at Qin Feiyong. He said, "This is not a game. Let me think about it." "All right, think about it carefully, but as a friend, I really advise you to follow him. After all, in this world, he is the only human who will treat us beasts as brothers," the Ant Emperor said. And the Spider Emperor nodded. Back to Qin Feiyong. Although he didn't say anything, he was secretly happy, because he had been peeping at the inner thoughts of the two beasts. Although the Spider Emperor hadn't made up his mind yet, in his opinion, it was only a matter of time. Boom! The sound of battle ahead was getting louder and louder. Qin Feiyong frowned and looked at the crocodile under his feet. He asked, "Do you know who is fighting ahead?" "I don't know. I was just going to take a look. But I heard that it is a man and a woman whose cultivation has reached the 9-star combat emperor," the crocodile said. "A man and a woman?" Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows and asked, "Young?" The fierce crocodile said, "It's said that he's quite young, but we'll have to go and take a look to know the specifics." "Wait, I am well aware of your strength. Even if they are 9-star war emperors, they are not your opponents. Why haven't you taken them down after so long? It even alarmed your entire race?" the Ant Emperor asked suspiciously. The fierce crocodile said, "It is said that they have mastered a divine art and have a divine beast by their side." "What? Divine beast?" Both the Ant Emperor and the Beast King turned pale with fright. Qin Feiyong also had a look of disbelief as he asked, "What divine beast? Could it be a fire Qilin? Or the Cerberus?" In his memory, only the fire Qilin and the infernal divine hound were divine beasts. "It looks like a big fish," the fierce crocodile said. "Big fish?" Qin Feiyong and the Ant Emperor exchanged a glance. No matter how big the fish was, it couldn't possibly be a divine beast. "I'm also puzzled," the fierce crocodile said. "Faster," Qin Feiyong urged. He really couldn't wait to see this so-called big fish mythological beast. "Then stand firm." After the fierce crocodile said that, its speed suddenly increased by several times. All the way down, it set off a monstrous wave of mud. The Spider Emperor shook his head and said, "I really can't stand it here. It's too smelly." The Ant Emperor nodded in agreement. "Smelly? Don't you guys come here often?" The fierce crocodile sneered. "If it weren't for the water source, would we have come?" The two beasts were disdainful. Time passed breath by breath. After about half an hour, Qin Feiyong could already faintly sense the aura of two humans. In addition to the aura of the two humans, there were also the aura of many fierce crocodiles. Moreover, among these auras, he really felt the pressure of a divine beast. Is it really a divine beast? Qin Feiyong looked at the swamp in front of him. Strong shockwaves from the battle surged forward in the form of giant waves. The swamp in front of him was like a turbulent ocean, rolling endlessly, and the fierce crocodiles in front of him were getting stronger and stronger. Basically, they were all 8-star war emperors, and a few of them were even 9-star war emperors. Their bodies had all reached 60 to 70 feet, and there were even giant crocodiles that were 100 feet long. "We can't go any deeper," The fierce crocodile under Qin Feiyang's feet suddenly stopped. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang frowned. The fierce crocodile said in a deep voice, if they see me with a human like you, they will kill me. If I have to take you out of the swamp, I suggest we take a detour. Detour? Then we won't have a chance to see that big fish? The ant emperor said. The fierce crocodile said angrily, is it more important to see the big fish or your life? The ant emperor turned to look at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment, glancing at the fierce crocodiles in front of him, his eyes surging with blood light, and said, continue forward, kill one by one. Don't. If you kill them, you can leave after patting your butt, but I still have to live here. Do you think they will let me go in the future? Even if they let me go, Lord Crocodile Emperor will not let me go. Please, don't make things difficult for me, okay? If you really force me, I will die together with you. The fierce crocodile was burning with anxiety. Qin Feiyang's heart trembled. Although the fierce crocodile said it out of anger, one had to understand that even a rabbit would bite when it was anxious. If this guy was really forced into a corner, it might really do such a thing. How should I solve this? Qin Feiyang secretly pondered. Suddenly, his eyes lit up as he looked at the fierce crocodile and said, I thought of a way that won't implicate you and can also take a closer look at that big fish. What way? The fierce crocodile was suspicious. Qin Feiyang said, let me hide in your mouth. Good idea. This guy's mouth is so big. Not to mention one person. Even if dozens of people hide inside, it won't be a problem. The ant emperor and the two beasts said, hide in my mouth? Aren't you afraid that I will swallow you into my stomach when you're not prepared? The fierce crocodile joked. You can try. Let's see if your actions are faster or if I erase your soul faster. Besides, it's not like I haven't been swallowed by a beast before. Back then, when I just stepped on the path of cultivation, I was swallowed by a big fish, but in the end, I still escaped alive. Qin Feiyang sneered. This incident happened in Iron Ox Town. At that time, he had just been reborn. It was also the first time he met the white-eyed wolf. He remembered at that time, facing the pursuit of the Lin family's disciples, the white-eyed wolf took him to escape. They jumped down from a mountain peak and fell into a river below. Just then, they bumped into a water beast and swallowed him and the white-eyed wolf. Even though this matter had happened a very long time ago, Qin Feiyang still remembered all the details of that time very clearly, because it was precisely because of this incident that he and the white-eyed wolf truly came together. You have such an experience? The ant emperor and the other two beasts looked at him in shock. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. To say something conceited, what I have experienced over the years is not something you can imagine. This is a human with a story. The two beasts muttered. When the fierce crocodile heard this, it smiled embarrassedly and didn't dare to say anything more. It raised its head and opened its mouth, revealing its black fangs. Qin Feiyang didn't have the slightest fear and directly stepped into the mouth of the fierce crocodile. The moment he entered the mouth, Qin Feiyang immediately blocked his nostrils. There could only be one word to describe it: stinky. It was simply stinky. The Spider Emperor and the Ant Emperor almost fainted from the smell. The Ant Emperor resisted the urge to vomit and said, Boss Qin, why don't you let us go to the castle too? Yeah. The Spider Emperor also looked at him pitifully. No. Since we are brothers, we must share our blessings and hardships. Qin Feiyang held back his laughter and said. The two beasts felt extremely bitter in their hearts. I'm just joking with you. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. With a wave of his hand, the two beasts disappeared without a trace. Then he said, Let's go. The fierce crocodile immediately lowered its head and sped forward, but its mouth was still slightly open. Qin Feiyang stood in front of the row of fangs in the fierce crocodile's mouth and looked at the situation outside through the gap. To be honest, he couldn't stand the stench in the fierce crocodile's mouth. Most importantly, it wasn't clear whether the fierce crocodile did it on purpose or not. From time to time, a piece of mud would surge in from the outside and directly hit his body. Not long after, Qin Feiyang's body was covered in mud. One had to know, Why was the fierce crocodile so smelly? It was because it lived in this kind of mud all year round. In other words, this mud was the source of the stench. If he could use battle chi, it wouldn't be like this, because the battle chi barrier could separate the stench and mud. But now, Qin Feiyang didn't dare to use his battle chi, because once he used his battle chi, he would be immediately detected by the surrounding fierce crocodiles. Anyway, every minute and every second in this place was torture. He also thought of the concealment spell, using the concealment spell to avoid the fierce crocodile's sight. But after thinking about it, in such a dangerous place, it was better to use the concealment spell at the critical moment. After all, the concealment spell could only be used once a day. Each time, it could only be used for an hour. As he got closer and closer to the battlefield, the mud waves became more and more fierce. He encountered more and more fierce crocodiles. Naturally, the battle fluctuations became more and more terrifying. Gradually, Qin Feiyang frowned. The two human auras gave him a sense of familiarity. But because there were too many auras mixed together, he couldn't tell who they were. However, he was sure that they were definitely not the white-eyed wolf and Fatso. Because if they were the white-eyed wolf and the rest, no matter how mixed their auras were, he would be able to distinguish them instantly. Boom, splash, roar. Another moment passed. The sounds of battle and the roars of the fierce crocodiles became more and more deafening. Qin Feiyang looked through the gap and saw countless fierce crocodiles more than 10 miles ahead. They were all 8-star combat emperors. They gathered together, and no matter how the mud waves hit them, they remained motionless and focused on the front. Obviously, the battlefield was right in front of them. This aura, Qin Feiyang furrowed his brows tightly. Here, the two auras became more obvious and more familiar. Chapter 1453. In the end, two figures were fixed in Qin Feiyang's mind. It was a man and a woman. Their looks were ordinary, but their temperaments were extraordinary. But how was that possible? Qin Feiyang shook his head again. Although he was not very familiar with this man and woman, Qin Feiyang still knew about their talents. How could they break through to the 9-star war emperor in such a short time? And there was a divine beast by their side? It can't be. It should be my imagination, not theirs. Qin Feiyang muttered. Boom. Crash. The fierce crocodile faced the huge waves and continued to move forward. Not long after, it brought Qin Feiyang into the group of crocodiles. The attention of the group of crocodiles was on the battlefield in front of them. In addition, Qin Feiyang hid his aura, so no one noticed him for a while. The fierce crocodile also brought Qin Feiyang and continued to move forward without batting an eyelid. The battle fluctuations were getting stronger and stronger. About 100 breaths passed. The fierce crocodile suddenly stopped. Its eyes filled with shock and thought. Look, it's really a big fish. Qin Feiyang said, Your head is too high. Open your mouth a little wider. Okay. The fierce crocodile raised its head and opened its mouth half a meter wide. Qin Feiyang stood at the mouth of the fierce crocodile and looked up. His eyes were filled with shock. A few hundred miles away from the swamp, there was a huge monster floating. Its appearance was like a whale, and its body was more than 10,000 feet long. Its entire body was black and gray, like a giant mountain, standing in the swamp. Its aura was also very strong. It was a 9-star war emperor. But the most shocking thing was that the divine power it emitted was a very pure divine beast power without any impurities. And around the big fish, countless fierce crocodiles roared and attacked it crazily. Each of these fierce crocodiles was more than 100 feet long. But compared to the big fish, their size was like the difference between a giant and a pig. However, their strength was very terrifying. They were all 9-star war emperors. How is this possible? Qin Feiyang looked at the big fish and muttered to himself, his face full of disbelief. Do you know what it is? The fierce crocodile's voice rang out in Qin Feiyang's mind. Yes. Legend has it that there is a fish in the northern underworld called the Kuan. The Kuan is so big that I don't know how many thousands of miles it is. It transformed into a bird, and its name was Peng. Its wings were like the clouds in the sky. It is the owner of this legend. Kuan Pong. Qin Feiyong said word by word. What? Kuan Pong. The fierce crocodile's eyes trembled as it asked, who are those two humans? Human? Qin Feiyong was stunned. Previously, his attention was all on the Kuan Pong and those ferocious crocodiles. He did not pay attention to the two humans. He quickly scanned the battlefield. The bodies of the crocodile and the Kuan Pong were too big. The two humans were like ants in a pile of elephants. It was very difficult to find them. However, not long after, Qin Feiyong also found the two humans. They stood on the back of the Kuan Pong, and their auras were like rainbows. They crazily launched a counterattack against the fierce crocodiles that pounced at them. It's really them, Qin Feiyong muttered, and his heart was in turmoil. Who is it? The fierce crocodile asked. Qin Feiyong said in a deep voice, two old friends. The man is called Ling Yu, and the woman is called Luo Dan. Old friends? The fierce crocodile was slightly stunned and asked suspiciously, since they are old friends, why does your tone sound so strange? Because their cultivation is too strange. Back then, their cultivation was about the same as mine. Later on, I even left them behind. But now, not only have they caught up with me, they have even surpassed me and broken through to the 9-star combat emperor realm, Qin Feiyong said. The most important thing was that he had the ancient castle, a cultivation artifact. 1 day outside was 10 days inside. Logically speaking, even if Ling Yu and Luo Dan were lucky these years and obtained some great fortune, it was impossible for them to surpass him, let alone leave him far behind. When the fierce crocodile heard this, his heart was also full of shock. Humans, no matter how strong you are, you can't escape death today. Brothers, kill them for me. The group of crocodiles roared again and again. The battle had already reached its climax. Although the group of crocodiles had a large number of casualties, Kuan Peng and Ling Yu were also covered in wounds. Looking at the crocodiles, Ling Yu and Luo Dan's expressions were extremely grave. We don't have much battle chi left in our bodies. Kuan Peng is also seriously injured. We can't continue to waste time with them like this, Luo Dan said. As she spoke, battle chi rolled out and turned into golden battle swords, filling the entire void. Immediately, as she waved her hand, the battle swords whistled out, carrying a world-destroying sharpness, slashing at the group of crocodiles that pounced from all directions. Clang! But when those battle swords slashed the bodies of the fierce crocodiles, they only sent them flying and broke the scales on their bodies. It was obvious. How thick were the scales of the fierce crocodiles? I also know that we can't continue to waste time. But their numbers are too large. We can't break through their encirclement at all. Unless, Ling Yu glanced at the group of crocodiles, his eyes flickering. Unless what? Luo Dan looked at him suspiciously. Ling Yu said, unless one of us self-destructs and perishes together with them. How can that be? Let's not talk about them first. If they really self-destruct, for example, if you self-destruct, Kuan Peng and I won't be able to escape either. Luo Dan said in a deep voice. The self-destruction of a 9-star war emperor could even kill a 9-star war emperor in an instant, so this was not a solution at all. Look, isn't that Qin Feiyong? Suddenly, Ling Yu pointed to the front and said in surprise. Qin Feiyong? Luo Dan was slightly stunned and immediately looked in the direction Ling Yu was pointing at. But other than the fierce crocodiles, there was nothing else. Luo Dan was about to remind Ling Yu that it was an illusion. But suddenly, she also saw two familiar figures on the right. These two figures were Wolf King and Fatso. They're here. We're saved. Ling Yu roared excitedly. The joy on Luo Dan's face could not be concealed. What's the situation? Qin Feiyong, who was standing in the mouth of the fierce crocodile, had a trace of suspicion on his face. He was clearly on the right side of Ling Yu and Luo Dan. Why would Ling Yu say that he saw him in front? Roar. But at this moment, the Kuan Peng under Ling Yu and Luo Dan's feet suddenly roared deafeningly. Ling Yu and Luo Dan suddenly woke up like a bolt from the blue. After waking up, Qin Feiyong, Fatso, and Wolf King disappeared without a trace in an instant. Is it an illusion? The two of them were stunned. Just as the two of them were confused by the illusion, a group of fierce crocodiles pounced on the Kuanpeng. Blood spurted out as they bit the Kuanpeng's body. Those sharp fangs tore off pieces of flesh, and the flesh that was torn from the Kuanpeng's body was swallowed by them. One had to know. The Kuanpeng was a divine beast, and its status among the divine beasts was not inferior to the fire Qilin. Therefore, flesh and blood were simply great supplements for ordinary beasts. After tasting the flesh and blood of the Kuanpeng, the group of crocodiles became even crazier. One by one, their eyes turned red and they bit crazily. And at the same time, 4 fierce crocodiles pounced on Lingyu and Luodan on the back of the Kuanpeng. Their fangs were dense and their hostility was monstrous. In the nick of time, Lingyu and Luodan suddenly came back to their senses and quickly retreated. But it was still too hasty. Although the two of them avoided the fatal attack, they were swept by the huge tail of the fierce crocodile. Instantly, blood splattered in the sky, and they almost fell into the swamp. Damn it. Chapter 1454. We really can't go on like this. Otherwise, we will be killed by the illusion before we die under the crocodile's jaws. Luodan said. Blood was also gushing out of her mouth. Don't worry about the crocodiles in other directions for the time being. Let's work together to tear a hole and see if we can escape. Lingyu said. Okay. Luodan nodded. The two of them got up suddenly, took out a healing pill, threw it into their mouths, and ran to the head of the Kuanpeng. Looking straight ahead coldly, there were 50 to 60 crocodiles in front of them, and they were ferocious. Lingyu and Luodan looked at them, and the murderous intent in their eyes suddenly burst out. 9 Heavens Ice Phoenix. Seal of Nirvana. The two of them roared at the same time, and their battle auras roared in all directions. Clang, clang. Accompanied by 2 earth-shaking loud noises, 9 ice phoenixes appeared above Luodan's head. Each ice phoenix was more than 10,000 feet tall, as if condensed from black ice. When they spread their wings, they covered the sky and the moon, releasing monstrous divine power. Above Ling Yu's head, a divine seal appeared. The divine seal was completely black, as if cast from divine iron. It was like the incarnation of the god of death, exuding a deathly aura. Sure enough, they have mastered the divine seal. In the distance, Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled. Not only was their cultivation unimaginably powerful, but they also had the divine beast, the Kuanpeng, and mastered the divine seal. What kind of fortune did Lingyu and Luodan get in these years? Were Zhao Yu and Feng Ranran, who disappeared with the two of them, as strong as them? Bastards, go to hell. Lingyu roared into the sky. The 9 ice phoenixes and the seal of Nirvana immediately blasted towards the crocodiles in front of them. Seeing this, the crocodiles' pupils constricted, and they escaped into the swamp without looking back. Boom! The 9 ice phoenixes and the seal of Nirvana also blasted into the swamp. The miserable howls of the crocodiles immediately sounded in the swamp. Although they hid in the swamp, the 9 Heavens Ice Phoenix and the seal of Nirvana were divine seals after all, and more than half of them died in an instant. Blood, the swamp red. Kuanpeng, quick! Lingyu urged. Kuanpeng immediately prepared to take the two to escape. But at this moment, a large group of vicious crocodiles rushed out of the swamp. At a glance, there were at least 200 to 300 of them. The hole torn open by the 9 Heavens Ice Phoenix and the seal of Nirvana was instantly blocked by them, and without exception, they were all 9-star combat emperors. How is this possible? Lingyu and the other two were dumbfounded. How many ferocious crocodiles were hiding underneath? Can't we kill them all? Luodan smiled sadly and said, It seems that we have really reached a dead end today. It doesn't matter if we die. After all, this life was saved by the old man back then. But Kuanpeng, I'm really sorry for implicating you. Lingyu sighed. Kuanpeng glanced at the crocodiles around and shouted, Cheer up! As long as we are still alive, we can still survive. His voice was as loud as a bell, deafening to the ears. A way out? With so many vicious crocodiles, do you think we can survive? Lingyu mumbled. Luodan was also completely disheartened. She could not see any hope. You feel despair after encountering such a small setback and want to give up. Are you worthy of the old master's nurturing over the years? Kunpeng said angrily. Their bodies trembled. That's right. It was not easy for them to get to where they were today. How could they give up so easily? His gloomy eyes instantly became incomparably sharp, like the edge of a blade. They exuded a strong desire to survive and fighting spirit. Even if we die, we have to die with a bang. Ling Yu, fight! Luo Dan shouted. Yes. Ling Yu nodded. He took out a large number of battle chi pills and stuffed them into his mouth. The depleted battle chi was instantly replenished. The two of them regrouped and continued to fight. Instantly, the sounds of killing shook the skies and blood stained the sky. In the distance, the vicious crocodile who was watching the battle suddenly said, "If nothing goes wrong, your two old friends will definitely die." Qin Feiyong did not deny it. Although Ling Yu and the other two regained their confidence, they were already at the end of their rope. As for Kunpeng, the situation did not look good either. Looking at the group of crocodiles again, although the casualties were heavy, the number was huge. Therefore, there was only one outcome to this fierce battle. Ling Yu and the other two and Kunpeng were dead. Right. How long have they been fighting here? Qin Feiyong asked. The vicious crocodile thought for a moment and said, "It is said that they have already started fighting during the morning. Doesn't this mean that they have been fighting here for a day?" Qin Feiyong was shocked. Almost. The vicious crocodile said, "What a pair of unlucky kids." Qin Feiyong shook his head and laughed. According to the time, the two should have directly descended here when they entered the miracle. This meant that, as soon as the two entered the miracle, they had been fighting with these vicious crocodiles until now. After such a long and fierce battle, even a machine would be exhausted, let alone two people made of flesh and blood. The vicious crocodile suddenly asked, "Aren't you going to help them? Do you want me to help them? If I help them, your companions will die." Qin Feiyong asked. "Then forget it. Don't help them." The vicious crocodile was stunned and smiled awkwardly. Qin Feiyong shook his head and smiled. This guy was quite interesting. Boom. Crack. Roar. The battle was still going on. But as Qin Feiyong and the vicious crocodile expected, even though Kunpeng and Ling Yu were full of fighting spirit, they were no match for the endless crocodiles. Their injuries were getting worse. A few hundred breaths passed. Both of them were dripping with blood. Ling Yu was missing a leg. Luo Dan was also missing an arm, which was bitten off by the vicious crocodile. At this moment, they needed to support each other to stand on Kunpeng's back. Ling Yu said, "Kunpeng, we have tried our best." Kunpeng smiled. "As long as you have tried your best, there will be no regrets in life. It is worth dying." "Yes." Ling Yu nodded. Luo Dan suddenly said, "Actually, there is one more regret." Ling Yu looked at her in confusion. Luo Dan whispered, "Have you forgotten? Until now, Qin Feiyong still doesn't know our true identity." Ling Yu fell silent. "But it doesn't matter because he has never forgotten us and has been taking care of our family." Luo Dan smiled. Although her appearance was ordinary, her smile was so charming that it made the world lose its color. Ling Yu glanced at Luo Dan, then raised his head to look at the full moon in the sky. A brilliant smile appeared on his face as he muttered, "Qin Feiyong, I'm sorry. I can't accompany you on this journey. Promise me, you must live on well." After saying that, she closed her eyes. "Mother, I am sorry." Luo Dan also looked up at the full moon and murmured to herself. Then, she closed her eyes silently. Sigh. Kunpeng heaved a long sigh and closed his eyes. Chapter 1455. But just as the crocodiles approached, Ling Yu and Luo Dan opened their eyes at the same time. Two cold lights flashed from their eyes. At the same time, a destructive aura roared out from their bodies. Self-destruct? Retreat. The crocodiles were stunned and their expressions changed. They quickly turned around and fled. Although they were beasts, they still understood the power of self-destruction. Two 9-star combat emperors self-destructing at the same time was enough to wipe them all out. Ling Yu and Luo Dan were not scaring them. They were really going to self-destruct and destroy everything. However, although they were about to die, there was no fear of death on their faces. Life is so beautiful. It's not worth it to seek death. But suddenly, a faint laughter rang out and entered their ears. This voice, Ling Yu and Luo Dan were stunned and quickly scanned their surroundings. They were extremely excited. There are still humans? The crocodiles were also very surprised. But they searched the surrounding swamps and did not see anyone. Is it an illusion again? Luo Dan muttered. I think so. Ling Yu smiled bitterly. Kuan Pong said, it shouldn't be an illusion. Look there. And? The two were stunned again and looked in the direction Kuan Pong was looking. They saw a dirty young man stepping on a fierce crocodile and rushing towards them. If it was not Qin Feiyong, who else could it be? Is it an illusion? Ling Yu stared at Qin Feiyong with an extremely excited and nervous expression. Luo Dan raised her hand and slapped Ling Yu's face. Why did you hit me? Ling Yu said angrily. Does it hurt? Luo Dan asked. Nonsense. Ling Yu glared at her unhappily. But then, he understood Luo Dan's intention and turned to look at Qin Feiyong again. He was still there. This meant that this was not an illusion. The two immediately stopped self-destructing. Looking at that familiar face, their bodies could not help but tremble. There was always a way out. There are really other humans? The roads nearby have long been destroyed. How did he sneak in? We didn't notice it at all before. The crocodiles were in an uproar. Brothers, kill him. It was unknown which fierce crocodile it was, but it suddenly roared. The crocodiles from all directions immediately bared their fangs and rushed toward Qin Feiyong murderously. If I were you, I would run away with my tail between my legs. Qin Feiyong stood on the back of a vicious crocodile and coldly scanned the group of crocodiles. This vicious crocodile was not the vicious crocodile he had controlled, but a temporary foothold he had found. Arrogant. Hearing Qin Feiyong's words, the fierce crocodile under his feet suddenly became furious. Its huge body turned in the air, wanting to throw Qin Feiyong off. Humph. Qin Feiyong naturally knew the vicious crocodile's intentions. He stomped down, his battle chi surging. The vicious crocodile let out a wail and its body was instantly torn apart. Blood dyed the sky red. At the same time, he jumped up and landed on the back of another crocodile. That was it. He killed his way through like a hot knife through butter. All the vicious crocodiles that came to block his way were killed on the spot. It could be said that he was invincible. So strong. Ling Yu and Luo Dan looked at each other, their eyes filled with unresolvable fear. Although their cultivation levels were stronger than Qin Feiyong's now, they could not even catch up to him in terms of methods. More than 10 breaths later, Qin Feiyong landed steadily on the back of the Kuan Pong. His entire body seemed to be bathed in blood, and his murderous aura was torrential. Brother Qin. The two of them hurriedly limped over, their faces filled with gratitude. If not for Qin Feiyong's sudden appearance, they would have probably perished together with the crocodiles here. Humans, no matter how many of you there are today, you will all die. Brothers, attack! The crocodiles pounced towards the three of them in a frenzy. You don't know what's good for you. Qin Feiyong's gaze turned cold. The Ant Emperor, Spider Emperor, Li Jin, Zhou Zhang, and the mists of Dragon Phoenix Pavilion appeared out of thin air. Qin Feiyong shouted, "Don't leave a single one alive. Kill them all." The Ant Emperor and Beast Emperor snickered and immediately revealed their true forms. Standing on the back of the Kuan Pong, they began a frenzied massacre. Li Jin and Zhou Zhang were also merciless in their attacks. Now that there was a Kuan Pong beneath their feet, they did not have to worry about falling into the swamp. The two of them were completely unrestrained. The crocodiles could not kill them at all. In fact, Qin Feiyong and the mists of Dragon Phoenix Pavilion did not even have to make a move. Ant Emperor, Spider Emperor, you guys actually followed a human? You're simply a disgrace to us beasts. Seeing the Ant Emperor and Beast Emperor appear, the crocodiles roared in anger. Humph. Being oppressed by you guys for so many years is the true disgrace. The Ant Emperor snorted coldly, his killing intent soaring into the sky. The Spider Emperor was also filled with hostility. All these years, the Crocodile Emperor had occupied the water source while the crocodiles relied on the swamp to do whatever they wanted. It had long thought of getting rid of these bastards. How could it let go of such a good opportunity? Brother Qin, what's going on? Looking at the Ant Emperor and Beast Emperor and Li Jian, Ling Yu was stunned. Qin Feiyang pointed at the Ant Emperor and Spider Emperor and said with a smile, "These two are the nearby Beast Emperors. I subdued them not long ago." Beast Emperor. Ling Yu's face was blank. Qin Feiyang said, "As for Li Jin and Zhou Zheng, they were once the Imperial Tutor's subordinates." The Imperial Tutor's subordinates? Ling Yu was stunned. He looked at Li Jin and Zhou Zheng and said, "Don't tell me that they have also submitted to you? If they did not submit, would they be with me now?" Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Ling Yu and Luo Dan looked at each other with bitter smiles on their faces. He could even subdue the Imperial Tutor's subordinates. This guy was getting more and more terrifying. Qin Feiyang asked, "Did you guys descend here as soon as you entered the divine site?" "Yes." "How unlucky." The two of them nodded helplessly. Ling Yu said, "What about you? Did you find Wolf King and the rest?" "I was lucky to appear in the Ant Emperor's territory. As for the white-eyed wolf and the rest, I'm going to look for them now," Qin Feiyang said. A glint flashed across the depths of Ling Yu's eyes. He smiled and said, "Then let's go together. We can take care of each other on the way." Take care of each other? The miss of the Dragon Phoenix house looked at Ling Yu and chuckled. "You're looking for protection, right?" Ling Yu was stunned. He smiled bitterly and said, "We're all understanding people. Miss, why do you have to expose me?" The miss of the Dragon Phoenix house smiled faintly. Ling Yu glanced at the miss of the Dragon Phoenix house, then looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Brother Qin, how about it? Going together?" "Sure." But, as Qin Feiyang said this, a killing intent suddenly surged from his body, locking onto Ling Yu and Luo Dan. The smile on his face disappeared. It was replaced by coldness. "Brother Qin, why are you doing this?" The two of them tensed up and hurriedly asked. Qin Feiyang said, "I really want to know. Who exactly are you? Am I forcing you to reveal your true forms, or are you going to say it yourself?" Ling Yu hurriedly said, "Brother Qin, this." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and said, "I don't want to listen to nonsense." The two of them fell silent. The miss of the Dragon Phoenix house suddenly took a step forward and landed in front of Ling Yu. She grabbed Ling Yu's shirt and tore it into pieces. A potential imprint was immediately exposed to his field of vision. Qin Feiyang stared at the potential imprint on Ling Yu's chest. And this imprint was purple gold. The purple gold imprint required one to open the 8th level of the Gate of Potential. In other words, Ling Yu had already broken through the extreme realm of the War King. The miss of the Dragon Phoenix house said, "Don't tell us that your Gate of Potential was opened by your own ability." Ling Yu lowered his head, looking rather flustered. The miss of the Dragon Phoenix house looked at Luo Dan and said, "You should have already opened the Gate of Potential." Luo Dan remained silent. The miss of the Dragon Phoenix house said, "If you don't answer, it means that you agree." Ling Yu suddenly gritted his teeth, raised his head to look at Qin Feiyang, and said, "There are some things that we really can't say right now. I can only tell you that we have no ill intentions towards you. Do you know? After you disappeared, Lu Xingqian specially went to Yuzhou and Feng Zhou to investigate the identities of you, Zhao Yu, and Feng Ranran. According to his investigation, you are not from Yuzhou and Feng Zhou at all. You are only using the holy palace of Yuzhou and Feng Zhou to enter the 9 Netherworld Yellow Springs and the imperial capital," Qin Feiyang said. Ling Yu and Luo Dan looked at each other. Luo Dan looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Do you believe Lu Xingqian's words?" "Of course I do. Because there's no need for him to lie to me about this kind of thing," Qin Feiyang said. "Wait." The miss of Longfeng House suddenly frowned and looked at Qin Feiyang. Could they be Lu Xingqian's men? Lu Xingqian's men, Qin Feiyang muttered to himself. In the current world, other than him and the Lu family, it seemed that only Lu Xingqian had the potential pill. However, if Ling Yu and the other 3 were really Lu Xingqian's men, then why did Lu Xingqian say those words to him in the past? Trying to cover it up only made it more conspicuous? Ling Yu said, "We are not Lu Xingqian's men." Qin Feiyang said, "Then it's the Lu family?" "It has nothing to do with the Lu family." Ling Yu shook his head. "Then whose men are you?" I advise you not to challenge my patience. If I want to kill you now, it would be as easy as flipping my hand. Qin Feiyong said in a deep voice. He was rather annoyed. Since they were not Lu Xingqian's men, nor were they from the Lu family, didn't that mean that there were still people in this world who had the potential pill? The two of them shook their heads. You'd rather die than say it? Qin Feiyong asked. I can't say it. Ling Yu said. All right, I'll fulfill your wish. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed with killing intent as he slammed his palm towards Ling Yu's head. But at this moment, Kuan-Pong said, Tell him otherwise he will really kill you. Qin Feiyong immediately looked at Kuan-Pong. Ling Yu also hurriedly said, Kuan-Pong, is this okay? The old man has instructed us not to tell him now. Who is the old man? Qin Feiyong grabbed Ling Yu's throat and shouted, It doesn't matter. Now that you have all broken through to the 9-star War Emperor, Qin Feiyong has also grown up. There's no harm in telling him. Moreover, didn't you want to reunite with him for a long time? Kuan-Pong laughed. Ling Yu and Luo Dan looked at each other, and a happy smile gradually crept onto their faces. Reunite? But when Qin Feiyong heard Kuan-Peng's words, he became even more suspicious. Why did he say reunite? Chapter 1456. Let go. You'll know who we are soon? Ling Yu looked at Qin Feiyong with a smile. Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows and let go of Ling Yu's neck. Ling Yu rubbed his neck and looked at Luo Dan. At the same time, he took out an elixir from his Qinkuan bag. Facial Restoration Elixir. Qin Feiyong's pupils shrank. The elixirs in their hands were actually facial restoration elixirs. He immediately looked up at their faces. Were these two faces fake? Kill. Roar. The Ant King, the two beasts, and Li Jian's massacre continued. Blood rained down. Broken limbs piled up like hills in the swamp around the Kuan-Pong. The bloody scene was like azure purgatory. But these... Qin Feiyong turned a blind eye and stared at Ling Yu and Luo Dan. The two of them took a deep breath and slowly raised their arms. Roar. However, just as the two of them were about to take the facial restoration elixir, an earth-shattering beast roar suddenly came from the swamp in front of them. Following closely, a terrifying, ferocious aura surged over like a tidal wave. The Ant King's expression changed and he shouted, Boss Qin, this is not good. This is the Crocodile Emperor's aura. That's right. This bastard. We are too familiar with it. Even if it turns into ashes, we can still recognize it. The Spider Emperor said. Crocodile Emperor. Qin Feiyong, Ling Yu, Luo Dan, Li Jian, and the Kuan-Pong immediately turned their heads to look in front. Splash. Boom. In the swamp in front of them, waves of mud hundreds of feet high came crashing over with great momentum. Roar. The fierce crocodiles in this area also roared excitedly, shaking the heavens and earth. It was as if they were welcoming their emperor. The Crocodile Emperor with a divine artifact, Qin Feiyong murmured, his eyes full of anticipation. Roar. Very soon, a huge, fierce crocodile broke through the waves and entered the line of sight. Its body was hundreds of feet long, and its aura was unfathomable. It stared at Qin Feiyong and his group. Its eyes, which were as large as millstones, were blood red. It was as if a sea of blood was rolling inside, flickering with a terrifying, ominous light. You damned humans! How dare you harm my subjects? The Crocodile Emperor roared loudly. Emperor, quickly kill them. The crocodile group roared. Get out of my way! Crocodile Emperor shouted. The group of crocodiles in front immediately retreated to the side. The Crocodile Emperor came to the front of the Kuan-Pong with a ferocious aura. It scanned Qin Feiyong and the others before looking at the Ant Queen and the Spider Emperor. A trace of fear crept into the eyes of the two beasts when they saw this. You two useless pieces of trash. How shameless of you to submit to a mere human. I'll kill you first. The Crocodile King roared, and a surge of blood chi emerged from its body. It turned into a bloody wave that covered the sky and rushed towards the two beasts. Kill us? Do you really think we're afraid of you? The Crocodile Emperor's contemptuous attitude angered the Ant Queen and the Spider Emperor. Their battle chi rolled out like two giant pythons, roaring in the sky and colliding with the crocodile emperor's blood chi. Boom! A destructive aura suddenly surged in all directions with this place as the epicenter. The surrounding crocodiles retreated as if their lives depended on it. Poof! The ant queen and the spider emperor spat out a mouthful of blood. Their huge bodies were sent flying. "Boss, save us!" The ant queen screamed. God knows how many ferocious crocodiles were lurking in the swamp. If they fell into the swamp, they would lose their lives instantly. Asking for help from humans? It's a compliment to call you trash. The crocodile emperor sneered. Humph. But at this moment, Qin Feiyong snorted coldly and took a step forward. He stood behind the ant queen and the spider emperor and reached out with both hands. Although the two beasts were huge in size, they were nothing to the current Qin Feiyong. He caught them easily. Thank you. After landing steadily on the back of the Kuanpeng, the two beasts immediately looked at Qin Feiyong gratefully. It's okay. You guys can leave. Qin Feiyong waved his hand. Yes. The two beasts nodded and quickly shrank their bodies and retreated to the side. Get ready for battle, Ling Yu said. Luo Dan shook her head and smiled. Looking at Qin Feiyong's back, she said, with this man here, do we still need to do anything? Let's recuperate, as long as we don't drag him down. What about this facial restoration pill? Ling Yu looked at the facial restoration pill in his hand. Let's talk about it when he's done, Luo Dan said. Ling Yu nodded. Then the two of them took out healing pills, regeneration pills, and battle chi pills and put them into their mouths. While recuperating, they looked at Qin Feiyong and the crocodile. Young master, do you need our help? Li Jian and Qin Feiyong glanced at the motionless mist of Longfeng Pavilion and the others, then walked behind Qin Feiyong and asked. No need, Qin Feiyong said. Then be careful, young master. The two of them warned and retreated to the side. The crocodile emperor looked at Qin Feiyong curiously. Qin Feiyong took a step forward and walked to the top of the Kuanpeng's head. He looked up at the crocodile emperor and said, I heard you have a divine artifact? What? Divine artifact? Ling Yu and Luo Dan looked at each other in disbelief. The crocodile emperor was also stunned. It looked at Qin Feiyong strangely and said, Are you eyeing my divine artifact? You're smart. You guessed it right away. Give me the divine artifact, and I'll spare your life, Qin Feiyong said lightly. The crocodile emperor looked at Qin Feiyong in shock and said, What did you say? Say it again for me to hear? Qin Feiyong smirked and said, Give me the divine artifact, and I'll spare your life. Ha ha. The crocodile emperor couldn't help but laugh. Is this human stupid? How dare he say such words in front of me? Qin Feiyong said seriously, I'm not joking with you. The crocodile emperor was stunned again. It suddenly opened its mouth and laughed. I'm not joking with you either. Kneel down and accept your death, and I'll leave you with a whole corpse. Sigh. Qin Feiyong sighed and shook his head. I didn't want to use violence to solve the problem, but you're too insensible. Keep pretending. Keep pretending. The crocodile emperor's eyes were full of sarcasm. Pretending? Qin Feiyong laughed. A monstrous murderous aura suddenly erupted. The place was suddenly filled with a strong gust of wind. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Qin Feiyong's blood-red hair fluttered. He pointed his hand in the air, and an invisible force roared out. The four moves of the ultimate art, landslide, ground fissure, sky fissure, and ultimate. The mighty divine aura shook the entire place. Li Jian exclaimed, using the four great divine arts in one move. There's only one person in the younger generation who can do this. Not to mention the younger generation. Even among the older generation, how many people can do this? Zhou Zheng shook his head and smiled bitterly. Seeing this, the crocodile emperor was also shocked. But then, its eyes were full of disdain. Human, give up. No matter how many divine arts you have, they're useless in front of me. Then let's try. Qin Feiyong waved his hand. The four great divine arts carried with them the power to destroy the world. They set off huge waves and blasted towards the crocodile emperor. Ignorant. The crocodile emperor sneered. It raised its mountain-like giant tail and slapped the four great divine arts. Clang, Clang. In an instant, the giant tail and the divine arts collided, creating a deafening metallic sound. Then, under Qin Feiyang's shocked gaze, the four great divine arts were smashed into pieces by the crocodile emperor's giant tail. Qin Feiyang's mouth dripped with blood. He lost control of his feet and took a few steps back. How is this possible? Li Jian, Zhou Zheng, Ling Yu, and Luo Dan were all in disbelief. One must know, the four forms of the end of the ruins were not battle arts, but divine arts. And Qin Feiyang's cultivation was not at the 4-star combat emperor realm, but the peak 9-star combat emperor realm. It was no exaggeration. With Qin Feiyang's current strength, killing a peak 9-star combat emperor realm expert was not a problem. But he could not defeat the crocodile emperor? Look at its body carefully. The ant emperor's voice suddenly rang out. Its body? Everyone was stunned and immediately looked at the crocodile emperor carefully. Gradually, they realized that the scales on the crocodile emperor seemed to be different from the surrounding crocodiles. The scales on the surrounding crocodiles were as thick as an iron shell. It was uneven, and there was a lot of mud on it. But there was no mud on the crocodile emperor's body. It was shining brightly. This obviously did not make sense, because the crocodile emperor's entire body was soaked in the swamp. It was impossible that there was no mud on its body. Moreover, the scales on the crocodile emperor's body did not have the thickness of an iron shell. Instead, it had a soft feeling like silk. This was too strange. That divine artifact is an armor. After blood recognition, regardless of shape or size, it will change according to the owner's body shape. Now, the crocodile emperor is wearing that armor, the ant emperor said in a deep voice. I see. Everyone was enlightened. You talk too much. The crocodile emperor looked at the ant emperor coldly. A blood-red battle chi burst out from its body. Accompanied by a loud clang, a blood-red battle sword appeared. The blood-red battle sword was overflowing and its sharpness was shocking. It slashed towards the ant emperor. You want to kill me? You have to ask if my boss allows it. The ant emperor sneered. Then I'll kill your boss before killing you. The crocodile emperor laughed sinisterly. The battle sword turned in the air, and its aura locked onto Qin Feiyang. Interesting. The corner of Qin Feiyang's lips curled slightly. Boom. Flaming battle chi surged. Dark moon. Eclipse. Eclipse and moon. 3 divine arts appeared instantly and suspended above his head, exuding a vast aura. What? 3 divine arts again? How many divine arts does this human have? The crocodile emperor's eyes trembled. If it could capture this human and obtain all his divine arts, plus the divine artifact on its body, who would dare to cause trouble in front of it in the future? It might even be enough to dominate the first level of the divine ruins. At the thought of this, the crocodile emperor's heart was burning with passion. Boom. In the blink of an eye. In the air, the 3 divine arts and the blood-red battle sword clashed. The battle sword instantly disintegrated. The crocodile emperor's body trembled slightly and blood gushed out from its mouth. However, it looked more and more excited. It raised its giant tail again, and with a clang, the 3 divine arts were instantly destroyed. Kid, do you know what it means to go for wool and come home shorn? You want to rob my divine artifact? You're too naive. Let me tell you, I'm robbing you now. Hurry up and hand over all your divine arts to me. Chapter 1457. Rob me? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Relying on the protection of the artifact, this guy was getting cocky. Artifact? With a divine weapon like pale snow in his hands, the so-called armor was nothing in his eyes. Back then, the jade pendant in the hands of the national master was destroyed by Chang Shui, and it was destroyed. However, it would be a waste to use Chang Shui to destroy the crocodile emperor's armor, because Qin Feiyang was lacking in armor. What are you waiting for? Hurry up, don't test my patience. The crocodile emperor yelled like a proud little rooster, overbearing and domineering. Qin Feiyang's eyes were filled with mockery. He said telepathically, Spider Emperor, Ant Emperor, is its armor protecting its entire body? That's right. Only its facial features are exposed, the Ant Emperor thought. Qin Feiyang immediately glanced at the Crocodile Emperor. According to the Ant Emperor, if he didn't want to destroy the armor, he had to start from the Crocodile Emperor's facial features, because the rest of its body was protected by the armor. However, for a beast at the level of the Crocodile Emperor, its facial features weren't fatal. Even if it was destroyed with a punch, it could slowly recover with time. And doing so would most likely scare the Crocodile Emperor away. If the Crocodile Emperor sneaked into the swamp, he could only watch helplessly. Hence, he had to think of a way to kill it in one blow. Still not saying anything? Did you hear me? Or are you pretending to be deaf? Let me tell you, if you don't hand over the divine art, I'll swallow you. The Crocodile Emperor said angrily. Swallow me? Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned. He looked at the Crocodile Emperor's wide mouth and suddenly had an idea. He smiled and said, What did you just say? The Crocodile Emperor was furious and laughed, still playing dumb in front of me. It seems like you won't cry until you're in the coffin. Since that's the case, I'll fulfill your wish. Sure. If you don't swallow me today, you're a coward. Qin Feiyang looked at it with a smile, full of provocation. I'm so angry. I'm so angry. You little minion, die for this emperor. The Crocodile Emperor was enraged. It opened its bloody mouth and bared its sharp fangs as it lunged towards Qin Feiyang. Hey! Qin Feiyang chuckled to himself. With a leap, he charged towards the Crocodile Emperor's mouth with a murderous aura. What is he trying to do? Ling Yu and Ling Yu turned pale with fright. Wasn't it courting death to take the initiative to fly into the Crocodile Emperor's bloody mouth? Li Jian, Zhou Zheng, and the Emperor Ant were astounded too. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion looked at Qin Feiyang, her eyes flickering. She seemed to have sensed Qin Feiyang's goal, but did not dare to be sure. Crocodile Emperor was equally stunned. Was this human really that stupid? Suddenly, it closed its bloody mouth and shrank back into the swamp. Furthermore, he had retreated far away. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang almost vomited blood, because in his current situation, he had no choice but to release the arrow. Other than the Crocodile Emperor, there were no other crocodiles around the Kunpeng. In other words, if he could not find a foothold now, he would fall into the swamp directly. If he could fly, this would naturally be a small matter. But the problem now was that he could not stay in the air for long. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion saw that the situation was not good and quickly shouted, Kunpeng, quick! The Kunpeng immediately sped through the swamp like an arrow, setting off huge waves. Seeing that Qin Feiyang was about to fall into the swamp, the Kunpeng finally arrived and stopped below Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang landed on the back of the Kunpeng with a bang. That was close. Everyone patted their chest with lingering fear. Qin Feiyang also broke out in cold sweat. He climbed up awkwardly and looked at the Crocodile Emperor. What are you doing? I offered myself to you, and you don't want it? Humph. I haven't gotten the divine art yet. I can't bear to kill you. The crocodile snorted. Qin Feiyang's face darkened. His veins were bulging. He was angry and amused at the same time. Wasn't this fellow a little too cute? The Crocodile Emperor glanced at Qin Feiyang and the rest. Finally, it looked at Qin Feiyang and said, As long as you hand over the divine art, I can promise to let you live. What if I don't? Qin Feiyang said, It doesn't matter. Anyway, I have a lot of time. I can slowly play with you. The Crocodile Emperor snickered. It was relying on the poisonous gas in the swamp. The poisonous gas here did not affect it at all, but it posed a fatal risk to Qin Feiyang and the rest. Because the illusion could appear at any time, Qin Feiyang felt helpless. If it was in the human world, this guy would be a hooligan and a scoundrel. Here, I am the ruler. You have to think carefully. The Crocodile Emperor looked at him mockingly. Huff. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. Killing the Crocodile Emperor was easy, but the armor on the Crocodile Emperor would be destroyed. However, if they continued to be so passive, it would not be a good thing for their current situation. The Miss of Longfeng House glanced at the Crocodile Emperor, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Just give up. There are many divine artifacts in the divine ruin. The crocodile emperor sneered. There are many divine artifacts in the divine ruin, but it depends on whether you have the ability to get them. Crocodile emperor, don't be so arrogant. Boss Qin wants your armor. That's why he didn't go all out. Otherwise, you would have been a corpse. The ant emperor snorted. That's not necessarily true. I'm not a pushover. Also, a shameless guy like you doesn't deserve to talk to me. Get lost. The crocodile emperor sneered. The ant emperor was furious. Calm down. Qin Feiyang comforted it secretly. He looked at the crocodile emperor and smiled. When I first saw you, to be honest, I hated you. You flatter me. The crocodile emperor laughed. A row of black lines appeared on Qin Feiyang's forehead. Where did this guy get the idea that he was praising it? Is it okay to be so thick-skinned? Don't be angry. Don't be angry. He let out a long breath and looked at the crocodile emperor. But now, I realize that I like you a little. Why don't you follow me? The crocodile emperor was stunned. It looked at Qin Feiyang strangely and said, There must be something wrong with your brain. Otherwise, why would you say such a stupid thing? I'd like to ask, who do you think you are to ask me to follow you? Don't you want the divine art? As long as you follow me, I'll satisfy you. Qin Feiyang was not angry. He smiled faintly. Cut it out. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old child? So easy to fool? The crocodile emperor's eyes were full of disdain. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and a jade slip appeared. Divine might surged. It was the black dragon scripture that he got from Zhuge Mingyang's Qinkuan pouch. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, With your eyesight, I don't think you need me to tell you what this is, right? The crocodile emperor stared at the jade scroll longingly. The divine art that I have is not something you can imagine. Forget it. I'll let you experience it yourself. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. The 4 moves of the ultimate, the 3 moves of the eclipse, the first 2 moves of the divine dragon formula, and the first 2 moves of the fire phoenix formula appeared one after another. This. The ferocious crocodile was stunned, especially the divine dragon formula and the fire phoenix formula. Even though it was wearing armor, it still felt a great sense of danger. The emperor ant and the other beasts were also stunned, because it was their first time seeing the divine dragon formula and the fire phoenix formula. The divine dragon formula and the fire phoenix formula have the 3rd and 4th moves. Moreover, I have mastered a few other super divine arts. They are even more powerful than the divine dragon formula and the fire phoenix formula. They are the return formula, the battle formula, and the kill formula that I have just activated. Of course, there is also the seal of slavery and the soul tampering art that few people know about. Qin Feiyang chuckled. The crocodile emperor looked at Qin Feiyang, dumbfounded. It murmured, So many divine arts? Tell me, are you really human? Of course I am. However, I am a little different from ordinary humans. That is because I have the bloodline power of the purple gold divine dragon in my body. Qin Feiyang said. Purple gold divine dragon. The crocodile emperor's body trembled. It looked at the blood at the corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth. No wonder there was a strong dragon aura in the blood. Now that you have seen what I can do, you should know that it is easy for me to kill you. So, instead of continuing to mess around with me, why don't you just follow me? I promise that you will get whatever you want in the future. Qin Feiyang said. The crocodile emperor remained silent. However, if one looked closely, one could see a hint of struggle in its eyes. The ant queen stared and sent a telepathic message to the spider emperor. This guy is obviously tempted. Why don't we add fuel to the fire and drag it down with us? Sure. I would like to see how much backbone it has. The spider emperor nodded. From the moment it saw them, the crocodile emperor had been mocking and ridiculing them. They were already filled with resentment. The 2 beasts hit it off. The ant queen looked up at the crocodile emperor and said, Actually, divine arts are just child's play for Boss Qin. His greatest strength is that he can unlock the gate of potential for everyone. What? Gate of potential? You are not joking with me? The crocodile emperor looked at the ant queen in shock. Who is in the mood to joke with you? Let me tell you, Boss Qin has a dagger. That dagger is also a divine artifact, and it is an extremely terrifying divine artifact. I'm not bragging. If that dagger were to break through your armor, it would be as easy as blowing off dust. The Ant Queen snorted. The continuous bombardment left the Crocodile Emperor in a daze for a long time. This human is so terrifying. You only have one chance. Think carefully about whether you want to cherish it or not. Anyway, the Spider Emperor and I have no regrets, the Ant Queen said calmly. The Spider Emperor was taken aback and sent a telepathic message. Old friend, what are you talking about? I have not agreed to follow him. You did not object either. The Ant Queen chuckled. The Spider Emperor smiled helplessly and looked at the Crocodile Emperor. That's right. We have no regrets. Hearing the Spider Emperor's words, the happiest person was of course Qin Feiyang, because this way, the Spider Emperor would be officially under his command. Chapter 1458. In fact, in a sense, subduing a beast emperor like the Ant Emperor was more worth it than getting the artifacts and techniques here. Because whether it was the artifacts or techniques, they all had their limitations. For example, battle arts. Low-grade battle arts only had the power of low-grade battle arts. Middle-grade battle arts only had the power of mid-grade battle arts. Perfect battle arts only had the power of perfect battle arts. No matter how heaven-defying it was, it couldn't unleash the power of a divine art. But beasts like the Ant Emperor were different. They had wisdom and talent. They could continue to sublimate through cultivation. In short, they could grow. Perhaps one day in the future, a god of war would be born among them. So, these were all potential stocks. At the same time, facing all kinds of temptations, the Crocodile Emperor was hesitant. If you don't follow boss, only death awaits you. If you follow boss, not only can you keep your life, but you can also get a lot of benefits. I really don't know. What's there to hesitate about? The Ant Emperor continued to instigate. The Crocodile Emperor glanced at the Ant Emperor and then looked at Qin Feiyang. It gritted its teeth and its huge body quickly shrank to the size of a palm. It rushed in front of Qin Feiyang and roared, "Boss, I surrender." "Ha ha, Crocodile Emperor. Oh, Crocodile Emperor. I thought you had a backbone. Turns out that's all there is to it. Do you remember how you mocked us before? Do you feel like you're being slapped in the face now?" The Ant Emperor and the other two beasts suddenly laughed. The Crocodile Emperor was embarrassed. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, all right. In the future, everyone will be a family. Let the past grudges and grievances disappear with the wind. Little Crocodile, did you hear that? If you dare to bully us in the future, boss won't let you go. The Ant Emperor said proudly. SK, can you not talk about boss? Do you have the ability to fight one-on-one with me? The Crocodile Emperor smiled disdainfully. The Ant Emperor shut up. Sorry, we're all civilized beasts. We'll try our best not to fight. Scram. The Crocodile Emperor glared at it and looked up at Qin Feiyang. It smiled and said, Boss, when are you going to unlock the door of potential for me? After living for so long, I still don't know what the gate of potential looks like. Wait, shouldn't there be a first come, first served rule for everything? If you want to open the door of potential, you're still behind us, right? The Ant Emperor said angrily. Not convinced? Duel. What? You don't dare? Shut up if you don't have the strength. You're asking for a beating. Crocodile Emperor said contemptuously. The Ant Queen was infuriated. They were already on the same side, yet they still didn't give him any face. Qin Feiyang swept his gaze over the three beasts. Then, he turned his head to look at the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion's young Mississippi. He smiled bitterly and said, It's over. I feel that there are a few more of them. Don't you have enough top-notch people around you? The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house looked down on him. Qin Feiyang smiled helplessly. He looked at the Crocodile Emperor and said, Cripple its cultivation first. Why do you want to cripple my cultivation? The Crocodile Emperor asked suspiciously. Of course, it's to use the slave seal to control you. The Ant Emperor briefly explained the slave seal to Qin Wentian. After listening, The crocodile emperor's eyes were suddenly filled with anger. It stared at Qin Feiyong and said, "I've always been a man of my words. You still don't trust me? You're a man of your words? Come on. Do you think we don't know what kind of person you are?" The ant queen and the other two beasts sneered at it. "I say, the two of you are really asking for a beating, aren't you?" The crocodile emperor was enraged. "You're feeling guilty. You can only fool people like boss who don't know you well," the two beasts said. Qin Feiyong's heart skipped a beat. The ant queen and the other two beasts had known the crocodile emperor for so many years. They definitely knew its character well, and now they didn't look like they were joking. It seemed that he had to be careful. Ahem. Qin Feiyong coughed and looked at the crocodile emperor with a faint smile. "One must always be wary of others, not to mention you're a beast. Of course, I won't control you forever. When I completely trust you, I will remove the slave seal for you." The crocodile emperor was still a little hesitant. "Don't tell me you're really hiding something?" the ant queen asked. "You're the one who's hiding something," the crocodile emperor roared. "Hey, boss isn't going to kill you. He's just preventing you from suddenly betraying us. If you really want to follow boss, what are you afraid of?" the ant queen joked. "Who says I'm afraid? Isn't it just a slave seal? Why wouldn't I dare?" The crocodile emperor roared in anger and destroyed its own sea of qi on the spot. Qin Feiyong immediately dispersed all the divine arts and formed a seal with both hands to control the crocodile emperor. Until then, everyone finally let out a long breath. Lingyu cupped his hands and smiled. "Brother Qin, congratulations. You have another warrior under your command." Qin Feiyong smiled and took out a spiritual sea elixir and gave it to the crocodile emperor. After the crocodile emperor swallowed the spiritual sea elixir, it looked at Qin Feiyong flatteringly. Its fierce eyes were filled with desire. The lady of the dragon phoenix house leaned over and stroked the crocodile emperor's head. She smiled and said, "This guy is really cute." The crocodile emperor was furious. "Bitch, you think you can touch my head? Take your stinky claws off me." Qin Feiyong was stunned. There was a hint of gloating in his eyes. This woman, who even he did not dare to offend, dared to scold him in front of everyone? Wasn't she looking for trouble? As expected, the crocodile emperor soon tasted what it was like to live a life worse than death. In front of the lady of the dragon phoenix house, it was as obedient as a lamb. Qin Feiyong shook his head and smiled. He turned to Ling Yu and Luo Dan and said, "Let the Kuan Peng go." "Okay." Ling Yu nodded and walked to the Kuan Peng's head. He patted the Kuan Peng's head gently and asked with concern, "Have you recovered from your injuries?" "Almost," the Kuan Peng replied. Ling Yu smiled and said, "Then let's go." The Kuan Peng nodded and then dragged its huge body and swam towards the northeast direction. But soon, the Kuan Peng stopped, because the crocodiles around them did not disperse. They were surrounded tightly. Qin Feiyong and the rest immediately looked at the crocodile emperor. The crocodile emperor raised its eyebrows and looked at the crocodiles around it. He shouted, "What are you doing? Rebelling?" The crocodiles shook their heads in horror. A 9-star combat emperor crocodile asked, "Lord Crocodile Emperor, are you really going to leave with that human?" The crocodile emperor nodded. "What are we going to do if you leave?" The crocodiles were anxious. "What are we going to do? Can't you live without me?" The crocodile emperor said angrily. The crocodiles lowered their heads. The crocodile emperor sighed deeply and said, "Actually, I can't bear to leave you, but I have been staying here all these years. I do want to go out for a walk. When I am not around, everything will be the same." "Yes." The crocodiles nodded. "Besides, Qin Feiyong is my boss now. That means he is your boss. You have to listen to his words in the past. Do you understand?" The crocodile emperor shouted. "Yes." The crocodiles responded respectfully. Then, they looked at Qin Feiyong in unison and shouted, "Greetings, boss." Tens of thousands of crocodiles roared at the same time. One could imagine how spectacular the scene was. His foundation is getting stronger. Ling Yu transmitted his voice to Luo Dan when he saw this. Luo Dan smiled happily. "All right then. You can all disperse. Wait. If you see other humans, Don't give me any face. Kill them all. The Crocodile Emperor said fiercely. Lord Crocodile, why don't we understand? Do other humans have anything to do with you? Why do you say don't give you any face? The crocodiles looked at it, puzzled. How unromantic. Can't you tell that I am joking? The Crocodile Emperor rolled its eyes. Joking? The crocodiles were helpless. They really couldn't tell. Moreover, it wasn't funny at all. Lord Crocodile Emperor, take care. Then, the crocodiles left in groups of 2s and 3s. Kuanping also brought Qin Feiyang and the others and continued to move forward. Boss, there's still me. But suddenly, an anxious roar came from behind. Qin Feiyang was stunned and turned his head to look. It turned out to be the crocodile that brought him here. The crocodile cried, Boss, we've been through hardships. Aren't you going to bring me along? Hardships? What do you mean? The Crocodile Emperor looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Qin Feiyang didn't explain, because with the Crocodile Emperor's temper, if it knew that it was the crocodile that brought him here, it might kill it on the spot. Qin Feiyang looked at the crocodile and smiled. Don't follow me. We're just acquaintances. I won't treat you badly. With that said, Qin Feiyang took out 3 sea spirit pills and essence soul pills from his arms, put them into an iron box, and threw it to the crocodile. And then, he removed the slave seal. Then, Kuanpeng took Qin Feiyang and quickly left. Sigh. The crocodile sighed, silently put away the iron box, and turned to leave. Its figure seemed a little disappointed. It also wanted to follow Qin Feiyang, but it knew Qin Feiyang didn't care about its strength at all. Cultivate well, we'll meet again. But suddenly, a familiar voice rang in its mind. The crocodile suddenly became spirited and turned to look at Qin Feiyang's back. Its big eyes were filled with joy. At the same time, on the back of Kuanpeng, the Crocodile Emperor looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Boss, do you have any suitable divine arts for me to cultivate? The Ant Emperor said angrily, Little crocodile, I'll say it again. First come, first served. Get lost. The Crocodile Emperor shouted impatiently and looked at Qin Feiyang expectantly. Looking at its impatient look, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but want to laugh. He shook his head and said, Not now, but don't worry. When I find a suitable divine art for you, I'll give it to you first. But your armor, let me tell you, although I'm with you now, don't even think about my armor. Because it has been with me for many years and has saved me countless times. In my heart, it's as important as my life. The Crocodile Emperor took a few steps back and looked at Qin Feiyang warily. Qin Feiyang was surprised. He didn't expect the Crocodile Emperor to have such a deep relationship with the armor. It could also be seen that although the Crocodile Emperor was ferocious, it actually valued friendship. However, for him, the armor wasn't that important now. Anyway, the Crocodile Emperor was with him. It didn't matter who wore it. And Zhou Zhang and Li Jian at the side kept looking at the Crocodile Emperor and the other 2 beasts. Suddenly, Chapter 1459. What's the matter? Qin Feiyang looked at them suspiciously. Li Jian chuckled. We want to mount. Mount? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and glanced at the Crocodile Emperor and the other 2 beasts. Zhou Zhang said, Li Jian and I are both at the peak of 9-star combat Emperor realm. If we have a peak 9-star combat Emperor realm mount, wouldn't it be like adding wings to a tiger? Qin Feiyang asked, You want the Crocodile Emperor and the others to be your mounts? What? Mounts? When the Crocodile Emperor and the other 2 beasts heard this, they immediately looked at Zhou Zhang and Li Jian. Yes, the 2 of them nodded. You want us to be your mounts? Are you looking for death? The Ant Emperor said angrily, Why are you so arrogant? Although you're strong, don't forget that the young lord has the final say. Whatever the young lord wants you to do, you have to do it. The 2 of them sneered. Boss Qin. The 3 beasts quickly looked at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and signaled the 3 beasts to calm down. He then looked at Zhou Zhang and Li Jian and said, Do you think that humans are superior to beasts? The 2 of them did not answer, but their expressions said it all. Slap. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang raised his arm and slapped the 2 of them. The two of them were stunned. Blood flowed from the corner of their mouths, and a bright red palm print appeared on their faces. I don't care what you think, but to me, beasts and humans are equal. If you want them to be your mounts, I don't object. But it depends on whether you have the ability to make them submit to you willingly. Qin Feiyong snorted. Yes, yes, yes. The two of them quickly lowered their heads and admitted their mistake. Remember, whether it's the people around me or the beasts around me, I will not force them to do anything they don't want to do. Don't let me hear such words again. Otherwise, even if you are at the peak of 9-star combat Emperor realm, I won't be merciful. You have to understand that I want you to follow me not because of your value, but purely to anger the national master, Qin Feiyong said. Remember. The two of them nodded. The three beasts looked at Qin Feiyong with gratitude. If Qin Feiyong really wanted them to be Li Jin and Li Jin's mounts, they wouldn't dare to resist. However, Qin Feiyong didn't do that. What did this mean? This meant that Qin Feiyong respected them a lot. This was a person who was trustworthy. He was. Qin Feiyong glanced at Li Jin and the other man before raising his head to look at the swamp in front of him. With the crocodile emperor around, no more crocodiles came out to block their path. The entire swamp was calm and tranquil. Qin Feiyong turned to look at Ling Yu and said indifferently, Now, please reveal your true forms. Do we have to do this? Ling Yu asked. This is a matter of principle. Since you are asking me for protection, I must know your background, because I don't want two restless elements around me, Qin Feiyong said. Ling Yu and Luo Dan looked at each other and smiled bitterly. They took out the facial restoration pill and put it in their mouths. Their appearance changed quickly. Qin Feiyong stared at the two of them. Miss Longfeng House, Li Jin and the three beasts also looked at them curiously. Not long later, two completely different faces appeared before everyone's eyes. Originally, Ling Yu and Luo Dan were both very ordinary people. But now, one of them was handsome and the other was peerless. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that, putting cultivation aside, the two of them could be said to be dragons and phoenixes among men. Luo Dan. She was 1.8 meters tall and had a slim figure. Waterfall-like black hair, gem-like eyes, long eyelashes, exquisite facial features. Although there was some mud on it, it still couldn't hide her peerless appearance. And the temperament she exuded at this moment was completely different from before. In the past, she was silent, giving off a cold feeling that kept people thousands of miles away. But now, she looked gentle and polite, like a lady from a noble family, natural and unrestrained. Look at Ling Yu at this moment. His 7-feet body was tall and straight like an iron pine, and his facial features could be said to be better than those beautiful women. Especially his eyes and long hair. They were sky blue like sapphires. The overall feeling he gave off was very demonic. If he didn't have an Adam's apple, many people would definitely mistake him for a woman when they first saw him. So this is their true appearance. The three beasts mumbled and turned to look at Qin Feiyong. They were surprised to find that Qin Feiyong's expression was extremely exaggerated. His eyes were wide open and his mouth was wide open, as if he had seen a ghost. Miss Longfeng and Li Jin also noticed Qin Feiyong's behavior. Their faces were full of suspicion. What's going on? Who in the world didn't know Qin Feiyong's character? Who didn't know? Even if the sky fell, he wouldn't be moved. But at this moment, looking at the man and woman in front of him, he actually had such an expression of disbelief. Could it be? What's the relationship between them? Ling Yu and Li Jin, who had recovered their true appearance, also looked at Qin Feiyong without saying a word. But there was a bright smile on their faces. Time seemed to have stopped at this moment. Other than the sound of the Kuan Peng swimming in the swamp, there was no other sound. It was dead silent. No one knew how long had passed. Slap. Suddenly, Qin Feiyong abruptly raised his arm and ruthlessly slapped his own face. Boss Qin, what are you doing? Why did you hit yourself for no reason? The crocodile emperor and the other two beasts hurriedly went forward and asked in surprise. But Qin Feiyong turned a deaf ear to them. Touching his burning face, he looked at Ling Yu and Li Jin and kept muttering, "It's not a dream. It's not a dream?" The crocodile emperor and the other two beasts, as well as Miss Longfeng and Li Jian, became more and more surprised. You guys, suddenly. Qin Feiyang took a step forward and walked towards Ling Yu and Li Jian. His hands were trembling. His feet were also trembling. His body, soul, and gaze were all trembling. Even his eyes were uncontrollably filled with a mist, blurring his vision. Looking at Qin Feiyang, although Ling Yu and Li Jian were smiling, tears were flowing from the corners of their eyes. Finally, Qin Feiyang walked to the front of the two and looked at their faces without blinking. As if he was afraid of recognizing the wrong person, he whispered, "Is it really you guys?" "It's us." The two nodded. Their voices were somewhat whimpering. "How could this be? Back then in the Swallowpan Mountain Range, didn't you guys already die?" Qin Feiyang shook his head, his face full of disbelief. Luo Dan said, "We didn't die. It was the old master who saved us." "Didn't die?" Qin Feiyang murmured. Suddenly, he stretched out his hands and grabbed each of their shoulders, saying, "Don't move. Let me take a good look at you guys." At this moment, his emotions were already out of control. Both of their hands grabbed tightly, and Ling Yu and Li Jian couldn't help but feel pain. But they didn't say a word and silently endured it. The smile on their faces was still there. "It's you guys. It's really you guys," Qin Feiyang whispered. The two faces in front of him were too familiar, like an iron seal, branded in the depths of his soul. In this lifetime, he would never forget it. When he was young, there were not many people who could make him care about them. Many people were just passers-by in his life. But these two people were one of the people he cared about the most. He had thought he had completely lost them. However, he didn't expect that after so many years, the two of them would actually appear in front of him again. He couldn't believe this scene. He couldn't calm the excitement in his heart. Suddenly, he opened his hands and hugged the two of them tightly. If this was a dream, he didn't want to wake up again. "I'm sorry. It's our fault. We shouldn't have hidden it from you. Let you bear this pain alone." Ling Yu and Li Jian's hearts ached, their faces full of self-blame and guilt. "Don't say anything. Let me feel your aura, your taste," Qin Feiyang whispered. The two of them fell silent and hugged Qin Feiyang tightly. From the current situation, they should be old acquaintances of Boss, and their relationship is not ordinary. The Ant Emperor transmitted his voice. "Do I need you to say that? If their relationship is ordinary, with Boss's character, why would he be so agitated? Why would he be so hesitant?" The Crocodile Emperor secretly said. "But then again, who are these two people?" The Spider Emperor muttered, "Swallowpan Mountain Range, people who have died," at the same time. The Miss of the Dragon Phoenix House looked at Ling Yu and Li Jian thoughtfully. She had once inquired about Qin Feiyang's experience in the Great Qin Empire, and it was very detailed. Once, a tragedy seemed to have happened in the Swallowpan Mountain Range. Wait, no way, they were. But how is this possible? The Miss of the Dragon Phoenix House had a trace of doubt in her eyes. Time passed breath by breath. The emotions in Qin Feiyang's heart were hard to calm down. People who had died for so many years suddenly appeared in front of him. How could he accept this? No matter who it was, they wouldn't be able to accept it. The most important thing was that they had been hiding it from him. Why was this? He shouted in his heart as a wave of anger surged in his heart. Bang! Suddenly, his gaze turned cold as he sent the two of them flying with a punch. And the expressions of the Crocodile Emperor and the other two changed. Why did he suddenly attack? Ling Yu and Li Jian got up and looked at Qin Feiyang with a puzzled expression, saying angrily, "What are you doing?" "What am I doing? Since you're still alive, why didn't you tell me earlier?" "Back then, when I woke up, White-Eyed Wolf and the others looked for you everywhere. But in the end, we turned the place upside down and couldn't find you. You know how much pain and self-blame I felt at that time. I wish that the person who died was me," Qin Feiyang roared. When the two of them heard this, the anger in their hearts was immediately extinguished. They lowered their heads guiltily and said, "I'm sorry. I don't want to hear any apologies. I just want to know, why is this? You don't have to think about me, but what about your mother? Do you know how Aunt Shui and Aunt Luji spent all these years? Do you know how many tears they have shed for you all these years?" Qin Feiyang roared. "Feiyang, Calm down. They must have their reasons for doing this. The Miss of the Dragon Phoenix house saw that the situation was not good and hurriedly went forward to persuade him. Difficulties, difficulties. Mother has her difficulties. Uncle Yuan has his difficulties. Second grandpa has his difficulties. They also have their difficulties. How can there be so many difficulties in this world? Don't tell me that my heart doesn't suffer? Qin Feiyang was furious and roared again and again. The Dragon Phoenix house's young lady sighed and didn't say anything more. Chapter 1460. Feiyang, Luodan said. Don't say anything now, let me calm down by myself. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and walked to the top of Kuanpeng's head, silently looking at the swamp ahead. Ling Yu and Li Qie looked at each other and wanted to explain. Miss Longfeng stopped the two of them and said, Don't go. Explaining now will only add fuel to the fire. Give him some time, he can handle it. The two of them sighed and fell silent. Seeing this, Crocodile Emperor, the three beasts, and Li Jian also tactfully shut their mouths. They had all seen Qin Feiyang's methods and did not dare to provoke him at this time. Time flew. The night receded, and 10 suns slowly rose. The swamp entered a sultry state again. After this period of recuperation, everyone's injuries were more or less healed. Sigh. Finally, Qin Feiyang looked at the 10 suns and let out a long sigh. Without turning his head, he said, Come here. Ling Yu and Li Qie had been waiting at the back. When they heard Qin Feiyang's words, they immediately walked to Qin Feiyang's side. Qin Feiyang turned around and looked at the two of them. After a long time, he said, I'm sorry. What are you talking about? We should be the ones saying sorry. The two of them quickly waved their hands. Qin Feiyang stepped forward and hugged the two of them, patting their backs and smiled. It's good that you're alive. Welcome back. Ling Yu and Li Qie finally smiled. Miss Longfeng asked, Feiyang, aren't you going to introduce us? Crocodile Emperor, the three beasts, and Li Jian were also curious. Qin Feiyang let go of the two of them, looked at everyone and shook his head with a smile. He pulled Ling Yu over and smiled. This is Ling Yunfei, my best brother. Ling Yunfei, Li Jian, and Li Qie's eyes trembled. As the state preceptor's subordinates, they had once gone to the spirit state to investigate Qin Feiyang's deeds. Therefore, they were not unfamiliar with this name. But it was said that this person was killed a long time ago, so how is he still alive? What do you mean in the past? Isn't it now? In the meantime, hearing Qin Feiyang's words, Ling Yunfei was also very dissatisfied. Now, Qin Feiyang deliberately kept him in suspense and said with a smile, of course, that's more like it. Ling Yunfei smiled smugly. Then, he looked at the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion's young miss and the others. Then, he performed a cupped fist salute and said, I'm very happy to meet everyone. Please take care of me in the future. Qin Feiyang pulled Luo Dan to his side and said, As for this one, her name is Luo Qingzhu. She was once a genius girl in the county of Yin. Her admirers could line up from Iron Ox Town to the imperial capital. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house, the Crocodile Emperor, and the other two beasts were astonished. However, Li Jian and the other man's hearts were in turmoil. Luo Qingzhu. This was also the person who had died together with Ling Yunfei. What was going on? Facing Qin Feiyang's slightly teasing words, Luo Qingzhu also had a helpless look on her face. She glared at Qin Feiyang, then looked at the young miss of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion and the others. She smiled gently and said, Don't listen to his nonsense. At most, I'm just a person with decent talent. Miss, you're too modest. The young miss of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion chuckled, then looked at Qin Feiyang and teased, I'm very curious, are you also her admirer? Everyone was slightly stunned and immediately looked at Qin Feiyang. A playful look appeared in their eyes. Luo Qingzhu also turned to look at Qin Feiyang. Her eyes seemed to be filled with anticipation. Qin Feiyang was also somewhat stunned. Obviously, he did not expect the young miss of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion to ask such a question. Don't tell me you're really her admirer. But even so, it's understandable. After all, Sister Qingzhu is indeed extraordinarily beautiful. Seeing that Qin Feiyang did not speak for a long time, The ridicule on the face of the young miss of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion became even stronger. Luo Qingzhu's cheeks immediately flushed red. Have you said enough? Qin Feiyang glared angrily at the young miss of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion and laughed. We were good friends in the past, and we will still be good friends in the future. When Luo Qingzhu heard this, her body trembled slightly, and a trace of disappointment appeared on her face. However, he quickly covered it up. Silly boy. The young miss of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion also cursed in her heart. The Dragon Phoenix Pavilion was once the most high-end and famous restaurant in the Central Divine Kingdom. As the owner of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion, what kind of person had she not seen before? As a result, she could tell with a glance that this little girl was obviously interested in Qin Feiyang, which was why she asked this question on purpose. In other words, she wanted to point it out and matchmake Qin Feiyang and Luo Qingzhu. But she didn't expect that. Not only did Qin Feiyang not realize it, he had even made this relationship stiff. However, feelings were personal matters, so she couldn't interfere too much. Qin Feiyang looked at Ling Yunfei and asked, "What exactly happened back then? Who exactly is the old man who saved you?" "It's a long story. As for the person who saved us, it's an old man you know well," Ling Yu said. "An old man I know well?" Qin Feiyang was startled and couldn't help but recall in his mind. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang seemed to have thought of something, and his body suddenly trembled. He looked at the two of them and said, "It can't be, yes? It's old Master Qin Yuan." The two of them nodded. "It's actually Uncle Yuan." Qin Feiyang was startled. After regaining his senses, he looked at the two of them and said, "Then Uncle Jiang, Zhao Shuang and Feng Ling aren't they still alive?" Luo Qingzhu said, "Yes, you've seen them all before." "Seen?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "Zhao Yu is Sister Shuang Feng Ranran is Sister Ling. As for my father, do you remember a person called Jiang Qianqing?" Luo Qingzhu said with a smile. "So it's them." Qin Feiyang suddenly understood, then frowned and muttered, "Jiang Qianqing." Suddenly, his gaze trembled. He finally remembered this person. Back in the city, after he killed the Lu family's ancestor, it was this person called Jiang Qianqing who took over the position of City Lord of the East City of the city. And when the Battle of the Nine Regions began, it was also Jiang Qianqing and Wang Hong who sent them to the Netherworld. So he was Jiang Zhengyi. Wait, Jiang Zhengyi, Luo Qinxue, Luo Qingzhu, Jiang Qianqing. In this name, there was the Qin of Luo Qinxue and the Qing of Luo Qingzhu. Wasn't this a combination of the names of Jiang Zhengyi's family? What a fool. Qin Feiyang slapped his head hard. Why didn't he notice this earlier? Luo Qingzhu said with a smile, "Although you didn't know that we were still alive all these years, we have always been by your side." Ling Yunfei also nodded, feeling very emotional. "Thank you." Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them for a long time and said, "We're all brothers. Why are you saying this? Moreover, if we really want to say thank you, it should be us thanking you. If it weren't for you, old Master Qin wouldn't have saved us at all, let alone nurtured us, and we wouldn't have today's achievements," Luo Qingzhu said with a smile. "This shows that Uncle Yuan has good taste. However, isn't your cultivation rising a bit too quickly?" Qin Feiyang frowned. This matter. Chapter 1461. Qin Feiyang smiled helplessly and asked, "By the way, Tamu has followed Uncle Yuan for a long time. Do you guys know each other?" "Of course." The two nodded. "Then why didn't you guys come together when you entered the miracle? Moreover, when you saw each other, you guys just greeted each other normally?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. "Because you know Tan Wu's background. If we came with him, you would definitely be suspicious of us. That's why we put on a show." Ling Yunfei and Luo Qingzhu laughed. "You guys really put in a lot of effort." Qin Feiyang snorted coldly. "There's no other way. Who asked you to be so shrewd? We definitely have to be careful." Ling Yunfei shrugged. "Or is it my fault?" Qin Feiyang was speechless. Ling Yunfei said, "Actually, it's all old Master Qin's idea. He doesn't want you to know these things too early." "Uncle Yuan," Qin Feiyang murmured, shook his head and sighed. "Last time Tenwu told me that Uncle Yuan is nurturing a force for me. I was still thinking about who it was. but I didn't expect it to be you guys. Besides you guys, who else is there? It's not the quantity but the quality. It's enough to have us. Ling Yunfei smiled confidently. Is that so? Qin Feiyang asked. He really didn't dare to believe what these guys said now. Ling Yunfei didn't answer and just smiled evilly. There's more. Qin Feiyang seemed to have thought of something again. He turned to look at Luo Qingzhu and said, when your father took over the position of city lord in East City, he was investigated by Old Master Ren. Does Old Master Ren also know the true identity of your father? Luo Qingzhu said, Old Master Ren doesn't know, but there is one person who knows. Who? Qin Feiyang asked. Zhu Yu. Luo Qingzhu said. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. It turned out that this ugly old woman was also one of Uncle Yuan's people. Then when she asked me to go to the Forgotten Continent to train and snatch the heavenly thunder flame, it was also Uncle Yuan's idea? Qin Feiyang said. That's right. Luo Qingzhu nodded. Uncle Yuan, for me, how much effort have you done behind the scenes? Thank you. How am I going to repay you for all the kindness you've shown me? Qin Feiyang looked towards the horizon and muttered to himself. In this life, the person he was most grateful to was Uncle Yuan, because it was Uncle Yuan who gave him hope and the courage to continue living. In this world, anyone could betray him, but there were two people who wouldn't. His mother, Uncle Yuan Yu. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang furrowed his brows and retracted his gaze. He looked at Ling Yunfei and asked, You two have followed Uncle Yuan for so long. Do you know his true identity? I don't know. We've asked as well, but in the face of our inquiries, Old Master Qin just smiled and let it go. In short, the feeling that Old Master Qin gives me is that he is very mysterious. But his kindness to you is true. No one can deny it. Ling Yunfei smiled. Of course I know. Qin Feiyang nodded and smiled. Looking down at the kunpeng under his feet, he said, It was also given to you by Uncle Yuan? Yes. This time it came with us to the miracle, on one hand to protect us, and on the other hand to see if it can encounter any good fortune, Luo Qingzhu said. Even such a divine beast, Uncle Yuan is really unfathomable. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled, becoming more and more curious about Uncle Yuan's identity. After such a long time, old friends reunited. Naturally, there were a lot of things to say. Next, the three of them sat side by side on the kunpeng's head, chatting about the past and reminiscing about the past. From time to time, there would be laughter. As for the miss of the Dragon Phoenix House, Li Jian, and the Crocodile Emperor, they quietly sat on the back of the kunpeng and cultivated. Time flew. A day passed and night fell. The end of the swamp finally appeared in the line of sight of the group. Qin Feiyang and the other two suddenly stood up and looked at the scene in shock. Outside the swamp, there was a majestic mountain range. The mountains were stacked on top of each other, and the vegetation was lush. That's right. In the mountain range, there was verdant vegetation. The lowest of the old trees was 100 meters tall, and dozens of people couldn't encircle them. The vines were like horned dragons, wrapped around the old trees, filled with a strong aura. The ground was also overgrown with weeds. As far as the eye could see, this place was verdant and full of vitality. It was a completely different world from the swamp, the plains, and the mountain range where the Spider Emperor was. And as they got closer, the temperature also became cooler. Seeing all this, everyone was dumbfounded. It was like an oasis in the middle of a desert, making people wonder if it was real or not. The miss of the Dragon Phoenix House said warily, Could it be an illusion? Illusion? Ling Yunfei was stunned and shook his head. It shouldn't be an illusion, because we can't have the same illusion. An oasis under the scorching sun of 10 suns? This is too inconceivable. Luo Qingzhu muttered. Everyone nodded in agreement. Qin Feiyang came back to his senses and shouted, Crocodile Emperor, Ant Emperor, Spider Emperor, what's going on? The three beasts immediately rushed to Qin Feiyang's shoulder. The Ant Emperor said, Let the little crocodile answer this question, because this is the water source and it knows best. This is the water source? Qin Feiyang and the others were stunned. Yes. The Ant Emperor and Spider Emperor nodded. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. He turned to the crocodile emperor and said, "No wonder you have been occupying this place." Then, he looked at the ant emperor and spider emperor and smiled. "No wonder you want to take this place away from the crocodile emperor." In such a cruel and harsh environment, this mountain range was no exaggeration to say that it was heaven. Who wouldn't want to take it for themselves? During the conversation, the Kuanpeng had reached the shore of the swamp. Qin Feiyang and the others jumped down one after another and landed on the grass by the shore. A cool breeze suddenly swept over them. This feeling was like suddenly falling into water after being exposed to the sun. They felt cool from head to toe. Even they couldn't help but moan in comfort. This is how a human should live. Ling Yunfei sprawled on the grass, his face full of enjoyment. In this place, even a cool breeze had become a luxury. The Kuanping also became palm-sized and landed on Luo Qingzhu's shoulder, enjoying this rare refreshing feeling. Miss Longfeng turned to look at the crocodile emperor and said, "Tell me, what's going on?" The crocodile emperor's expression changed. It quickly jumped onto Qin Feiyang's other shoulder and distanced itself from Miss Longfeng. Miss Longfeng smiled playfully and stepped forward. She reached out and grabbed the crocodile emperor and said, "Why are you running? Are you afraid that I'll eat you?" "Boss Qin, save me. Show me your masculinity and conquer this bitch." The crocodile emperor roared in horror. Ever since it was educated by Miss Longfeng, it was very afraid of this woman. However, its way of asking for help made Qin Feiyang's face turn black. Conquer? Don't you know how to talk? Was this woman someone he could conquer? Not to mention him, there was probably no man in this world who dared to conquer this woman. Originally, Qin Feiyang wanted to help it, but now it was better to forget about it. He didn't want to get into trouble. He gave it a look that said, "Good luck. If you scream again, I'll really roast you on the fire." Miss Longfeng's veins were also bulging. Her forehead was dark. The crocodile emperor immediately shut its mouth. Like a little lamb, it looked pitifully at Qin Feiyang and the others. Qin Feiyang coughed dryly and pretended not to see it. Chapter 1462. "I'm sorry, it's my fault." Seeing that no one cared about it, the crocodile emperor was scared. It quickly bowed and apologized to Miss Longfeng. "What's wrong?" Miss Longfeng teased. Crocodile emperor said, "I shouldn't have let you sing conquer." The Miss of Longfeng House slapped its face and said, "Hurry up and say it. I don't know why this place is different from other places." "Because this place existed a long time ago," Crocodile Emperor said. Luo Qingzhu asked, "You didn't investigate such a magical thing?" "Of course, but I've searched every corner here and didn't find anything suspicious," Crocodile Emperor said. Everyone couldn't help but frown. Miss Longfeng pondered for a while and said, "There must be some treasure hidden in this place." And everyone looked at her in unison. "To tell you the truth, before I left, my mother told me that in this miracle, whenever I encounter such a unique place, I have to look carefully, because there might be a treasure hidden in such a place." Miss Longfeng looked at Qin Feiyang and said. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but be moved. One must know. The mysterious lady had been to the first level before, so she naturally knew the situation here. Since she said so, it must not be groundless. Qin Feiyang turned to look at Crocodile Emperor and asked, "Where's the water source?" Crocodile Emperor said, "In the center of this mountain range, there is a lake. The water source is there." "There's a lake?" Miss Longfeng and Luo Qingzhu looked at each other, their eyes filled with joy. Along the way, they were already sweating profusely. Especially when they fought with the crocodiles in the stinky swamp, their bodies were covered in mud, and even they couldn't stand the smell. So, they had long wanted to find a place to wash up. After all, women love to be beautiful. But there was no water, and it was a luxury to want to take a bath. And now, suddenly hearing that there was a lake in front, they couldn't help but be excited. Actually, not to mention Luo Qingzhu and these two women, even Qin Feiyang and the other men had long wanted to soak in the water. Because their bodies were too smelly. They were worse than those beggars. "Lead the way." Qin Feiyang looked at the fierce crocodile and said. The fierce crocodile took the opportunity to escape from the clutches of the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house and quickly rushed forward. Qin Feiyong and the others quickly followed. Why are all the people I meet so impatient? Can't they just let me lie down a little longer? Ling Yunfei shook his head and helplessly got up. He chased after the crocodile and asked, "Little crocodile, are there any other fierce beasts here? This is this emperor's territory. Who dares to enter?" Crocodile Emperor said arrogantly. "Awesome." Ling Yunfei gave him a thumbs up. Half an hour later, the group cut through the thistles and thorns and arrived in front of a mountain ridge. The mountain ridge was like a giant python, traversing the north and south of the earth. The vegetation on it was lush. However, just as the Crocodile Emperor said, they did not encounter any ferocious beasts along the way. Moreover, they did not sense any ferocious beast's aura on the mountain ridge in front of them. Under the Crocodile Emperor's lead, everyone climbed up the mountain ridge. They stood in a forest and looked ahead. This place was surrounded by mountains on all sides, forming a basin with a diameter of about 2 to 3 miles. The lake was located in the middle of this basin. Under the sunlight, the clear water of the lake glowed with layers of light. By the shore, the vegetation was lush, presenting a scene full of vitality. Everyone was overjoyed. They quickly followed the Crocodile Emperor down the mountain, through the forest, and arrived at the lake. A cool breeze blew, making everyone feel refreshed. "You guys, turn around. Don't peek." The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house scanned the lake water. Her eyes were filled with little stars, as if she had seen a peerless treasure. Ahem. Ling Yunfei coughed dryly and asked, "Shouldn't men go first?" "What did you say?" The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house and Luo Qingzhu immediately turned around and glared at Ling Yunfei. At this moment, the two women tacitly chose to form an alliance. Looking at their eyes, Ling Yunfei could not help but feel anxious. Women are tigers. Don't provoke them. Qin Feiyong patted Ling Yunfei's shoulder and thought to himself, "If I can't provoke them, can't I just hide?" Ling Yunfei snorted, looked at the lake, and pointed to the opposite side of the lake. "Let's go there and take a bath." "That's not good. What if an accident happens?" Qin Feiyong frowned. "Didn't Little Crocodile say that there are no other beasts here? What are you worried about?" Ling Yunfei glared at him angrily. "All right then." Qin Feiyong nodded and looked at the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house and smiled. "We'll go there. Come and find us when you're done." "Sure." The two women thought for a moment and nodded. Qin Feiyong looked at the Queen Ant and the Spider Emperor. "Stay here and protect them in case anything happens." Although Luo Qingzhu was accompanied by the Kuren Pong, the Kuren Pong was only a 9-star combat emperor. The Queen Ant and the other two beasts were different. They were genuine 9-star combat emperors. If anything happened, they would be able to deal with it. "No problem, leave it to us." The Queen Ant and the other two beasts laughed. Qin Feiyong was stunned. Why was this bastard laughing so wretchedly? Could it be that the beasts of the divine ruins were like men and were interested in human beauties? "Let's go. It's okay if we don't see the water. Now that we see the water, we feel so uncomfortable." Ling Yunfei dragged Qin Feiyong along the lake and ran to the opposite side. Li Jian and the other two looked at each other and quickly chased after them. They also wanted to take a bath. After Qin Feiyong and the others left, the Queen Ant glanced at Luo Qingzhu and the other two and smiled. "Two beauties. It's our honor to be able to take a bath with you." "Yes, yes. Come, come, come. I'll take off your clothes." The Spider Emperor also smiled. Their faces immediately darkened. Seeing that the situation was bad, the Queen Ant quickly waved its claws and laughed. "Look at how scared you are. We're just joking. We're not interested in human women. Get lost." The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house shouted. The two beasts shrunk their necks and quickly turned around to run. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house snorted coldly, "Like master, like spirit pet." This sentence is indeed true. Luo Qingzhu covered her mouth and laughed. "Sister, you seem to have a big prejudice against Qin Feiyong. It's not as if, it's the truth. You don't know how he has schemed against us all these years. If it weren't for some relationship, I would have destroyed him long ago." The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house was unhappy. "Some relationship?" Luo Qingzhu was stunned and asked curiously, "What relationship?" We, the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house, instinctively wanted to answer, but she suddenly became alert. She looked at Luo Qingzhu with flickering eyes. Sister, don't misunderstand. Luo Qingzhu quickly waved her hand. Misunderstand what? You're thinking too much. Let's go and wash up. Your body is so dirty. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house smiled, took off her outer clothes, and slowly walked into the lake. Luo Qingzhu looked at the back of the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house, and her clear eyes flashed. She also took off her muddy clothes and walked into the lake. Comfortable. The two girls found a good position and leaned side by side on a piece of bluestone. They closed their eyes and enjoyed it. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house suddenly asked, Sister Qingzhu, you like Qin Feiyang, right? She didn't open her eyes, as if she was just casually asking. Luo Qingzhu was slightly stunned and immediately blushed. She said angrily, Sister, what nonsense are you talking about? You know very well whether or not I'm talking nonsense. I just want to tell you that Qin Feiyang is a blockhead. If you don't take the initiative, I'm afraid he won't understand in this lifetime. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house smiled faintly. Luo Qingzhu said, Sister, you don't understand. It's not that he can't understand, he's just avoiding it, because he already has someone in his heart. Who? The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house opened her eyes and looked at her suspiciously. Mermaid Princess. Luo Qingzhu said dejectedly. Mermaid Princess. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house muttered. I'm different from the Mermaid Princess. She's a person who dares to love and hate. If she likes someone, she will say it directly. As for me, Luo Qingzhu didn't continue. After a long silence, she took a deep breath and looked at the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house. She smiled and said, Perhaps this is fate. I don't know if it's fate or not. I only know that if I like something, I have to fight for it. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house said. Fight for it. Luo Qingzhu muttered and asked, What about you, sister? After spending so much time with Qin Feiyang, have you ever had a good impression of him? Me? The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house was stunned. She shook her head and smiled. I do have a good impression of him, but it's impossible for me to be with him for the rest of my life. Why? Luo Qingzhu was curious. You'll know in the future. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house smiled mysteriously. Luo Qingzhu glanced at the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house and retracted her gaze. She looked at the calm lake and her eyes flickered. Daisuke, what should be perked up is perked up. What should be concave is concave. I didn't expect that there would be such a peerless beauty among the humans. Boss Qin is really lucky. The Ant Emperor hid behind a rock and stared at Luo Qingzhu and Luo Qingzhu, commenting, That's right. The Spider Emperor nodded, then glared at the Ant Emperor and said angrily, It's all your fault for smiling so wretchedly. Otherwise, you would be able to take a bath with them right now. Before you talk about me, can you wipe the saliva off your mouth first? The Ant Emperor looked down on him. The Spider Emperor smiled embarrassedly. On the other side, Qin Feiyang and his group weren't so refined. They directly jumped into the lake. The moment they were submerged by the lake water, they felt an indescribable sense of carefreeness. Following that, Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei started to play in the water, having a lot of fun. They're really like children. They were young to begin with, but because they had to bear too much, they had no choice but to bury their innocence. Li Jian and Luo Qingzhu quietly soaked in the water and looked at Qin Feiyang with a smile. As for the Crocodile Emperor, after sending Qin Feiyang and the others here, it slipped away alone. No one knew where it went. Qin Feiyang and the others didn't care. Chapter 1463. After tossing and turning for a moment, Ling Yunfei found a rock and laid on it. Looking at the full moon in the night sky, he laughed. I really missed the time when we were in Yin County. That's right. Qin Feiyang nodded and sat beside Ling Yunfei. His mind was filled with thoughts. After a while, Ling Yunfei suddenly got up, hooked his arm around Qin Feiyang's shoulder, and laughed evilly. Do you really not have any thoughts about Sister Qingzhu? Qin Feiyang was startled. We all know what Sister Qingzhu is thinking. Of course. We also hope that you two can be together. After all, the two of you can be considered a perfect match. Ling Yunfei chuckled. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, I don't want to talk about feelings right now. You don't want to talk about it, or you don't want to talk about it. Actually, we all know that you like the mermaid princess, Ling Yunfei said. Qin Feiyang looked at Ling Yunfei in surprise and asked, How do you know about the mermaid princess? Back then, when Ling Yunfei and the others were killed, he had yet to meet the mermaid princess. Other than what you did in the Forgotten Continent, what else do we not know? Ling Yunfei said proudly. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled, saying, That's right, I like her. Right now, my heart can only hold her. But even if I like her, I will silently hide it in my heart, because I don't know when I will die. Ling Yunfei shook his head and said, Life is short, we have to enjoy it while we can. What's the point of thinking so much? Aren't you just finding trouble for yourself? Maybe I'm different from you. In my opinion, when you are with a woman, you must give her a pure land and let her be happy for the rest of her life. But now, I don't even know what my future is like. How can I give her a pure land and happiness? Qin Feiyang sighed. You, after so many years, why are you still a blockhead? Don't you know what's going on? Ling Yunfei glared at him in exasperation. Isn't that good? At least I haven't hurt a woman yet. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. You're exaggerating. You haven't hurt other women, but what about Linyi? Ling Yunfei teased. Qin Feiyang was taken aback. He smiled bitterly and said, I told you a long time ago that I think of her as my younger sister, but she doesn't think so. In short, things like love are not as simple as you think. When you have time, learn more from me. Ling Yunfei patted Qin Feiyang's shoulder and said meaningfully. Qin Feiyang said, Do you understand it very well? Ling Yunfei chuckled and whispered into Qin Feiyang's ear. What? Qin Feiyang looked at him in amazement and couldn't recover for a long time. What? I'm awesome, right? Ling Yunfei patted his chest and said proudly. You can even tame that tigress. Amazing. Qin Feiyang gave a thumbs up. Of course. Let me tell you. In front of me, she is as docile as a kitten. Ling Yunfei was not modest at all. Really? Qin Feiyang looked doubtful. You still don't believe it? Will I lie to you? Ling Yunfei said discontentedly. It's not that I don't believe it, but it's hard to believe. I know this woman too well. Even if she is a cat, she is a stray cat that is difficult to tame. Qin Feiyang said. So what if she is a stray cat? She is tamed by me. Ling Yunfei smiled disdainfully. When I find her, I really want to see how you tame her. Qin Feiyang said. Just you wait and see. Ling Yunfei said. Qin Feiyang shook his head with a smile and asked, When are you going to get married? Get married? Ling Yunfei was stunned and said, It's too far away to talk about this now. Qin Feiyang immediately frowned. You don't just want to play, do you? I tell you, I won't allow it because I promised her grandfather that I would take good care of her. I knew you're a person who favors outsiders. Ling Yunfei snorted coldly. You really think so? Qin Feiyang said. I'm kidding. No matter how bad I am, Ling Yunfei will not play with other people's feelings. Besides, I value this feeling very much. There is a reason why I don't get married, Ling Yunfei said. Qin Feiyang heaved a sigh of relief and asked, What's the reason? You're the boss and you're not married. How can I be shameless in front of you? Ling Yunfei smiled slyly. Get lost. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at him. Ling Yunfei said angrily, You don't believe me when I tell you the truth. What do you want? If you want to wait for me, I advise you not to because you can't afford to wait. Qin Feiyang shook his head. It's okay. Anyway, I just want to get married. Just for a day. That little kitten also agrees. Ling Yunfei said. Up to you. Qin Feiyang smiled helplessly. Boss Qin. Suddenly, Crocodile Emperor's voice came from the shore. Qin Feiyang turned his head and saw Crocodile Emperor standing on a rock by the shore, looking anxious. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang asked. Ling Yunfei and Li Jian also looked at it suspiciously. Come with me quickly, Crocodile Emperor said, and jumped into the forest. Qin Feiyang and the other three looked at each other and quickly got up to the shore. They took out a set of clean clothes from their chinkuan bags and put them on before chasing after Crocodile Emperor. Ling Yunfei asked, "Why are you in such a hurry? Is there something wrong?" "Yes." Crocodile Emperor nodded and said in a deep voice, "I wanted to give boss a surprise, but I didn't expect someone to beat me to it." "What surprise?" Qin Feiyong was stunned and asked suspiciously. "A black tree with hundreds of fruits on it. The fruits are also black. Guess what it is?" "With your knowledge, you should be able to guess," Crocodile Emperor said. "Black tree? Black fruit?" Qin Feiyong and the other three lowered their heads and pondered. Seeing that the four of them didn't speak, Crocodile Emperor said, "Let me give you another hint. The tree can emit an invisible energy that can sense the physique and talent of a living being. Invisible energy. It can change the physique and talent of a living being." Qin Feiyong was astonished, and he said, "You can't be talking about the Tree of Fortune, right?" "Yes. It is the Tree of Fortune." Crocodile Emperor nodded. "How is that possible?" Qin Feiyong was stunned. The Tree of Fortune. Ling Yunfei and the other two were also shocked. Qin Feiyong came back to his senses and asked, "Are you sure that the Tree of Fortune has hundreds of fruits?" "Of course. I usually cultivate under the Tree of Fortune," Crocodile Emperor said. This, Qin Feiyong was shocked. He knew. When he got the Tree of Fortune from the Mu family, it had 30 fruits, and that already surprised him. However, he didn't expect. There was actually a Tree of Fortune here with hundreds of fruits. How big is this Tree of Fortune? How spectacular is it? Ling Yunfei was dissatisfied. "Little crocodile, you're not honest. You have such a good treasure, and you didn't tell us at first?" "I just wanted to give you a surprise." Crocodile Emperor felt wronged. "Did someone beat us to it?" Qin Feiyong asked. "A wolf," Crocodile Emperor said. "Wolf?" Qin Feiyong and the other three looked at each other, and the figure of Wolf King appeared in their minds at the same time. Ling Yunfei said, "Could it be that wolf cub?" "Wait, let me see." Qin Feiyong closed his eyes and carefully sensed through the slave seal. A moment later, he suddenly opened his eyes, and 2 rays of light burst out. "How is it?" Ling Yunfei asked. "It's really nearby. It seems that when we came here, it was also coming here," Qin Feiyong said happily. Ling Yunfei smiled evilly. "I haven't seen it for many years. I wonder how it will react when it sees me." "You know it?" The Crocodile Emperor looked back at the two of them. Qin Feiyong smiled. "It's my best and most trusted partner." "I see." The Crocodile Emperor nodded. "Wait, that's not right. The wolf cub's strength is far inferior to yours. Why didn't you chase it away?" Qin Feiyong asked. "This is what I'm going to tell you next. At the Tree of Fortune, other than the wolf cub that you're talking about, there are 4 other humans hiding. These 4 humans aren't very strong. One of them is a 5-star combat emperor, and the other 3 are 2-star combat emperors. However, that 5-star combat emperor human gave me an extremely strong sense of danger. So, I didn't dare to act rashly, so I ran back to find you. And those 4 people were sneaky. I felt that they wanted to harm the wolf cub." The Crocodile Emperor said. "For humans?" Qin Feiyong frowned. A mere 5-star combat emperor could make the 9-star combat emperor Crocodile Emperor feel threatened? Why didn't he know that there was such a terrifying person? Wait, there seemed to be such a person. "Hurry up," Qin Feiyong urged. "What did you think of?" Ling Yunfei was surprised. "I thought of a person. If it's really him, he will definitely kill the white-eyed wolf when I'm not around," Qin Feiyong said in a low voice. "Heard of it?" Ling Yunfei's heart sank. The group increased their speed and passed through the forest in a short while. They stood on a small hill at the edge of the forest and looked ahead. "What? It's so big." Qin Feiyong and the other 3 were tongue-tied. Outside the forest, there was a vast plain overgrown with weeds. In the middle of the plain, there was a huge black tree. That was the Tree of Creation. That Tree of Creation couldn't be described as big. It was more than 100 feet tall. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that even 50 to 60 people holding hands might not be able to go one round around the tree trunk. On the branches, black fruits of fortune were faintly discernible between the leaves, exuding a fatal temptation. Around the tree of creation, there was a clear stream that was 5 to 6 meters wide. The stream flowed like a giant python, meandering across the entire plain. "How is it? I didn't lie to you," the crocodile emperor said proudly. "Amazing. You're simply sitting on a huge treasure," Li Jian exclaimed. "It's useless if you don't know alchemy. In the past, I used to eat the ripe fruits of creation as fruits. Although they don't look good, the taste is quite good. It's refreshing and delicious." The crocodile emperor said. Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei looked at each other. Eat his fruits? Does this guy know the value of the fruits of creation? If any one of them were to be taken out, it would cause a bloodbath. This was simply a waste of God's gift. Extravagant. Chapter 1464. Where's the wolf pup? Ling Yunfei asked. It's soaking there. The crocodile emperor pointed to the stream on the east side of the tree of creation. Qin Feiyang and the rest looked over. Indeed, they saw a wolf lying in the stream with its head sticking out. It looked relaxed and was even humming a tune. That's it. Qin Feiyang smiled. This bastard really knows how to enjoy himself. Ling Yunfei pursed his lips. However, both of them heaved a sigh of relief. The white-eyed wolf was still there. This meant that the four of them had not made a move yet. Qin Feiyang asked, "Where are the four of them hiding?" "Look over there." The crocodile emperor pointed to the southeast direction of the tree of creation. Qin Feiyang and the rest looked up. As the hillside was higher, their field of vision was wider. Very soon, they found 4 figures in a patch of grass. The grass was as tall as a person. The 4 of them stood there with their aura concealed. They looked at the tree of creation and the white-eyed wolf. The 4 of them were only half a mile away from the white-eyed wolf. The leader was a young man in purple. His stature was tall, and his appearance was dignified. There was a sense of arrogance between his eyebrows. It's really him. Qin Feiyang's pupils contracted. Who is he? The crocodile emperor was suspicious. Lu Xingqian. A very scary person. Fortunately, you didn't make a move just now. Otherwise, you would be a corpse now. Ling Yunfei said. The crocodile emperor was dumbfounded. A mere 5-star combat emperor could make these guys so fearful? What kind of heavenly means does this person have? This isn't right. Why is he on the 1st level? Logically speaking, he should be on the 2nd level. Qin Feiyang frowned. Lu Xingqian's soul now belonged to Mu Tianyang. In his sea of consciousness, he had already condensed his divine consciousness. Although his cultivation was only at the level of a combat emperor, his divine consciousness had already surpassed the level of a combat emperor. But why was he still here? Could it be that the power of law in the divine ruins only recognized cultivation and not divine sense? Ling Yunfei said in a deep voice, "Don't worry about why he's here. Let's go and meet up with the wolf pups, lest he tries to harm them." "There's no rush. I'd like to see what he's up to," Qin Feiyang said, his eyes flickering. Another moment passed. Lu Xingqian finally made his move. Like a ghost in the night, he silently walked towards the white-eyed wolf. The other 3 followed closely behind him. These 3 people all had the appearance of burly men. Although their cultivations were not strong, their eyes were extremely cold, like pairs of eagle eyes, piercing one's heart. Acting so sneakily, he must be trying to sneak up on the wolf pup. Ling Yunfei snorted coldly. Crocodile Emperor said, "Should we remind it?" "No need." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and looked at the white-eyed wolf from afar. No one knew this guy better than him. In addition to being alert, its nose was also very sharp. Perhaps it already knew that Lu Xingqian was hiding in the dark. "You're my little apple. No matter how much I love you, it's never too much." Looking at the white-eyed wolf again, it was humming a tune while swinging its feet, splashing waves of water. It was as if it was sitting in the spring breeze, unaware of the approaching danger. At this moment, Lu Xingqian and the other 3 were only 200 or 300 feet away from the stream. For them, this distance was not even half a step away. This wolf pup is too careless. We've already come here, but it didn't even notice. One of the burly men couldn't help but secretly ridicule. Which one of the people and beasts around Qin Feiyang isn't conceited? In their eyes, I'm the best in the world. Who dares to provoke me? The other two burly men also sneered. You'd better not have such thoughts. I know too well what kind of person Qin Feiyong is. People and ferocious beasts that can catch his eye and stay by his side all have an outstanding side. Lu Xingchen said lightly. The three men looked at each other. On the surface, they didn't dare to disobey, but in their hearts, they didn't care. If Qin Feiyong was powerful, they wouldn't dare to refute, because this was something that everyone in the world had seen. But how many of the people and beasts around Qin Feiyong could be compared to this? Do it. Lu Xingchen suddenly waved his hand. The three burly men were not surprised or hesitant. They immediately rushed toward the white-eyed wolf like a snake baring its fangs. Hey! It was also at this moment. The white-eyed wolf, who was humming a tune, suddenly grinned and revealed a ferocious look in its eyes. The next moment, it suddenly raised its head and stared at the three burly men. Under the moonlight, its eyes glowed with a strong green light. A few small fries dare to come here and cause trouble. You're simply tired of living. It cackled, and like an ape, it suddenly leaped up and swung its sharp claws at Chu Li. The three burly men didn't expect that the white-eyed wolf had already noticed them. Caught off guard, their chests were torn apart by the white-eyed wolf's claws. Blood gushed out. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. After seriously injuring the three men, the white-eyed wolf returned to the stream, lying in the water and continuing to hum a tune. There was also a hint of playfulness in its eyes. Bang, bang, bang. The three burly men fell to the ground one after another. The sharp pain in their chests made them howl miserably. Seeing this, Lu Xingchen didn't hide anymore. He walked out and looked down at the three men. This is the price for underestimating it. Remember this lesson. Yes, yes, yes. The three men quickly got up, clutched their chests, and nodded repeatedly. Quickly heal your injuries, Lu Xingchen said, turned around, and walked to the stream. He looked at the white-eyed wolf and smiled. Brother wolf, you're so comfortable. The white-eyed wolf joked. Are you trying to get close to me? If you say so. Lu Xingchen smiled. Haha. The white-eyed wolf laughed and said, Do you know what you're doing? You're asking a weasel to pay a visit to a chicken. You're up to no good. It seems like you're the wolf. Lu Xingchen shook his head helplessly. You still know that I'm a wolf? Then why are you squatting over there? Do you think you can escape from my nose? The white-eyed wolf mocked. Lu Xingchen smiled bitterly, entered the stream, and lay down opposite the white-eyed wolf. He said with a look of enjoyment, It's so comfortable. I really don't want to go anywhere and just stay here forever. The white-eyed wolf raised his eyebrows and said angrily, Hey, 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 this is my territory now. Did you ask for my permission to take a bath here? Don't be so cold. At least we're on the same side now, Lu Xingchen said. On the same side? The white-eyed wolf laughed and said, Just say it. What do you want to do to me? I wouldn't dare. Besides, I can't bear to do anything to you. How about this? You follow me. I promise you'll get something unexpected, Lu Xingchen said with a smile. Qin Feiyong was stunned and cursed in his heart. So this bastard is going to steal my woman. I'd be surprised if he didn't do that. Li Jian sneered in his heart. The white-eyed wolf's fighting soul was the nemesis of all fighting souls. With the white-eyed wolf by his side, it was equivalent to having an ultimate trump card. And Lu Xingchen, as the incarnation of Mu Tianyang, naturally understood this. It was just that before, the white-eyed wolf had been hiding in the castle in seclusion, so he couldn't find a chance. At the same time, the white-eyed wolf was also quite surprised. He looked at Lu Xingchen and said, What did you say? Can you say it again? Lu Xingchen said, I said, If you follow me, I'll give you everything you want. So I didn't hear wrong. The white-eyed wolf muttered, then smiled playfully and said, You're asking me to betray little Qin Zi. You're not his master and servant. How can this be called betrayal? Besides, there's a good saying. Even if you can't do business, you can still be friends. Lu Xingchen said. The white-eyed wolf thought for a moment and nodded. That makes sense. Then what are you going to use to bribe me? What do you want? Lu Xingchen asked. What do I want? The white-eyed wolf was silent for a moment, then said with a sneaky smile, I want the moon in the sky. Can you pluck it? Wolf cub, I advise you not to go too far. Our Lord has taken a liking to you because you've accumulated good karma in your past life. Don't take it for granted. The three burly men reprimanded him sternly. Lu Xingqian didn't stop them. Obviously, he was also somewhat dissatisfied with the white-eyed wolf's attitude. Who are you people? Do you have the right to speak here? The white-eyed wolf slowly raised his head and glanced at the three men. Looking at the white-eyed wolf's contemptuous gaze, the three men immediately flew into a rage out of humiliation. Their eyes flashed with a terrifying light. Be careful. I'll gouge your eyeballs out if you keep staring. The white-eyed wolf raised his eyebrows and suddenly stood up. His terrifying aura rushed toward the three men like a tide. The three men subconsciously took a few steps back, their faces full of fear. The white-eyed wolf disdained them and lay back in the water. He looked at Lu Xingqian and shook his head. Aren't you tired of having to bring these trash around? Lu Xingqian chuckled. If you like, you can kill them at any time. When the three men heard this, their faces instantly turned pale. Not interested. The white-eyed wolf said faintly. Hearing this, the three men breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, they felt like they were on a roller coaster. They were extremely panicked. Lu Xingqian's eyes flashed slightly and asked, "Then what are you interested in?" A straightforward person doesn't resort to insinuations. I'm interested in your space divine item. As long as you give it to me, I'll immediately agree to follow you. I'm even willing to be your spy and stay by Qin Feiyang's side to monitor him, the white-eyed wolf said. He said it very seriously. Although he didn't know what the white-eyed wolf was thinking, he couldn't find the slightest trace of falsehood on the surface. Sigh. However, when he heard this, Lu Xingqian let out a long sigh and a trace of regret appeared on his face. What's wrong? Or are you going to make a move? The white-eyed wolf said. You're the one who forced me. To be honest, I really think highly of you. Unfortunately, you're too stubborn. You have to know that you're the only one here. It's easy for me to kill you with my means. Lu Xingqian sighed. Is that so? The white-eyed wolf looked at him with a smile. Other than the war soul, what other means do you have? Lu Xingqian asked back. His demeanor and tone also carried a hint of coldness. Ha ha, ha ha. The white-eyed wolf laughed loudly. His laughter was full of sarcasm. Chapter 1465. Boom. All of a sudden, a strand of divine sense swept out from Lu Xingqian's head. Anything that threatens me, no matter what it is, I will wipe it out as soon as I have the chance. Lu Xingqian smiled coldly. His divine sense pierced through the sky, carrying with it a monstrous aura, and swept towards the white-eyed wolf's forehead. Damn! This is divine sense. The crocodile emperor was dumbfounded. No wonder this person gave it a great sense of crisis. It turned out that he was a false god. It seems that the rule power here only recognizes cultivation and not divine sense. Qin Feiyang muttered. Otherwise, Lu Xingqian would have been obliterated by the rule power. Mu Tianyang came here before, so he is very familiar with the rule power here. Since he dares to use divine sense, he must have a certain degree of confidence. But now, these are secondary. Hurry up and save the white-eyed wolf. Ling Yunfei said in a low voice. Facing Lu Xingqian's divine sense, the white-eyed wolf had no power to fight back. Phew. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and said, Crocodile Emperor, you go? Only the Crocodile Emperor could compete with Lu Xingqian now because it had armor to protect it. But just as the Crocodile Emperor was about to rush to the rescue, the white-eyed wolf suddenly laughed out loud. Lu Xingqian, you underestimate me. I know you are hiding nearby, and I dare to continue to stay here. This means that I am not afraid of you at all. Little brother, do it. Following the white-eyed wolf's shout, Lu Xingqian, who was originally majestic, suddenly changed his expression and looked down into the water. Whoosh! In the water, a blood-red stream of light swept past. Immediately, a sharp pain came from his thigh. Following closely, the skin all over his body quickly turned black. His face and lips were the same. The next moment, he let out a blood-curdling scream as he lay prone in the water, screaming miserably. Just as the wisp of divine sense was about to enter the white-eyed wolf's glabella, it suddenly collapsed and dissipated into nothingness. What happened? The three men were dumbfounded on the spot. Qin Feiyong and the others were also dumbstruck, their faces filled with bewilderment. What did the white-eyed wolf do? He actually made Lu Xingqian scream so miserably? Go! Qin Feiyong suddenly waved his hand and dashed toward the stream like lightning. Ling Yunfei, Li Jian, Zhou Zhang, and the crocodile emperor quickly followed. However, Ling Yunfei suddenly stopped. He rolled his eyes and chuckled. You guys go first. I'll give the wolf cub a surprise later. Meanwhile, the three burly men also came back to their senses and hurriedly grabbed Lu Xingqian and dragged him ashore. At this moment, Lu Xingqian's entire body was like a piece of charcoal and white foam was coming out of his mouth. This is a sign of being poisoned. The three men's expressions changed. Quick! Give me an antidote pill, Lu Xingqian roared. The three men quivered and quickly took out an antidote pill with 5 veins. They quickly stuffed it into Lu Xingqian's mouth. Swish! It was also at this moment Qin Feiyong and the others arrived. What? Qin Feiyong. The three burly men's expressions changed drastically. Their eyes were filled with fear. Lu Xingqian's pupil shrank slightly. The white-eyed wolf glanced at Qin Feiyong and the others and snorted. Continue to hide. Why did you come out? Obviously, it had already smelled the scent of Qin Feiyong and the others. Qin Feiyong smiled embarrassedly. Li Jian glanced at Lu Xingqian and looked at the Wolf King curiously. How did you do it? You are. The white-eyed wolf looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyong said, his name is Li Jian. This is Zhou Zhang. They used to be the confidants of the state preceptor, but now they are following me. I see. The white-eyed wolf nodded in realization. He turned to look at Lu Xingqian and shook his head. I don't know what happened. He suddenly became like this. Maybe he was bitten by a rabid dog before. Now he has rabies. Rabies? The corners of Qin Feiyong and the others' mouths twitched. No one would believe such words. Swish. Suddenly, Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He took a step forward and landed on the opposite shore. He raised his hand and waved. The three burly men died on the spot with a scream before they could react. But at the same time, Lu Xingqian suddenly disappeared without a trace. Where is he? Crocodile Emperor and Li Jian were both surprised. He has a space divine item. It's not that easy to kill him. Qin Feiyong shook his head and sighed. He landed in front of Wolf King and said, Don't keep us in suspense. Tell us the truth. The white-eyed wolf smiled proudly and was about to speak. But at this time, Lu Xingqian appeared on the opposite shore again. Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows and looked at Lu Xingqian. Are you provoking me? How would I dare? Lu Xingqian's condition did not improve much after he took the antidote. But with his willpower, standing and talking was not a problem. Then why did you come out? Qin Feiyong sneered. I can't hide forever. Lu Xingqian laughed and asked, Why are you here? You wish I wasn't here. But I'm sorry. I was already here before you made your move. Qin Feiyong said. Lu Xingqian said, If I said I was just joking with Wolf King just now, would you believe me? What do you think? Qin Feiyong looked at him mockingly. Lu Xingqian smiled bitterly. This time, he really went for wool and came home shorn. Puff. Suddenly, he tore open his pants and exposed his thigh. What are you doing? Seducing us? You're disgusting. Unfortunately, we're not interested in a man's white legs. White-eyed wolf laughed, his eyes full of ridicule. Lu Xingqian's veins were bulging. He pointed to a small red on his thigh and asked, What the hell is going on? Qin Feiyong and the others finally saw the small red dot. It was located on the outside of Lu Xingqian's thigh. It was only the size of a rice grain and was bleeding at the moment. But the blood was actually black, and it had a stench. Why does it look familiar? Crocodile Emperor looked at the small red dot and was puzzled. Suddenly, it seemed to have thought of something. It looked down at the stream and snorted, Poisonous scorpion. You're the one behind this. Poisonous scorpion? Qin Feiyong and the others were surprised. Whoosh. Not long after Crocodile Emperor finished speaking, A blood-red light suddenly swept out from the water and landed beside White-Eyed Wolf. It was a scorpion. It was small in size, and its whole body was blood-red. It had no aura at all, just like a ghost. "It's really you," Crocodile Emperor snorted. Scorpion looked at Crocodile Emperor and sneered. "It's not good to be so cold when meeting an old friend. You're just a loser. How dare you be my friend?" Crocodile Emperor was disdainful. This sentence seemed to have touched Scorpion's scar. Boom. A terrifying evil aura erupted. Its body also expanded. In an instant, a giant scorpion that was more than 100 feet tall appeared in everyone's sight. Its aura had reached the peak of 9-star combat emperor. Spirit demon scorpion. Qin Feiyong was shocked. "I see." Lu Xingqian also came to a realization. Not many people had seen the spirit demon scorpion, but many knew its name, because it was the same as the spirit snake, spirit demon spider, and spirit blood ant. It was a terrifying existence. It was born without aura. And the most terrifying thing about the spirit demon scorpion was its venom. Its venom was even more terrifying than the bloodthirsty scorpions. The spirit demon scorpion stared angrily at Crocodile Emperor and roared, "Take off your armor if you dare. Let's fight and see who's the loser." "Are you stupid? You have a divine artifact, but you don't use it. Just for show?" Crocodile Emperor looked at it in disdain, as if it was looking at an idiot. "You bastard!" The spirit demon scorpion roared again and again, shaking the world. Suddenly, it turned to look at Lu Xingqian and laughed. "I heard from Boss Wolf that you're very powerful. Come, if you have the guts to fight with this emperor." Obviously, it wanted to use Lu Xingqian as a punching bag. Lu Xingqian's eyes turned cold, and a hint of hostility rose between his eyebrows. "You're not going to make a move? Then this emperor will force you to make a move." The spirit demon scorpion raised its huge tail and slammed it towards Lu Xingqian. "It's a small world. I'll let you see my strength in the future." Lu Xingqian smiled coldly and looked at Qin Feiyong. "Don't forget what you promised me." After saying that, he disappeared into thin air again. "Trash. Ant. Trash." The spirit demon scorpion roared again and again. The greatest pain in the world was having nowhere to vent your anger. This emperor, it's the spirit demon scorpion's emperor? Qin Feiyong looked at the spirit demon scorpion in surprise. "Yes. The spirit demon scorpion's territory is not far from here. This guy is the same as the ant emperor and the spider emperor. They have long wanted this water source. But the three of them are trash. Every time they see this emperor, they can only run for their lives." The crocodile emperor sneered. When the scorpion emperor heard this, it became even angrier and roared, "If not for the armor, you would have been cut into pieces by us. What are you still so arrogant for?" Another hot-tempered one. Qin Feiyong shook his head helplessly. "Who are you talking about? Are you looking for death?" The scorpion emperor was furious when it heard this. It raised its huge tail and slammed it towards Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong was stunned. Li Jian and the crocodile emperor were also stunned. It actually dared to attack Qin Feiyong? Zhou Zhang moved closer to the white-eyed wolf and whispered, "Brother Wolf, didn't you tell it about the young master's strength?" "Yes, but it won't believe it if it doesn't experience it for itself." The white-eyed wolf laughed. At that moment, the crocodile emperor and Li Jian looked at the scorpion emperor gloatingly. Seeing that the scorpion emperor had no intention of stopping, Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Boom! He raised his hand and waved it violently. Golden light burst out from his palm, and he slapped the scorpion emperor's huge tail. Return formula. Roar. Immediately, the scorpion emperor let out a miserable howl. Its huge tail was torn open, and its huge body was directly blasted away. With a bang, it landed on the plains a few miles away. A deep crater immediately appeared. Qin Feiyong used the phantom steps and quickly rushed in front of the scorpion emperor. He stepped on its head and said coldly, "I can understand that you want to vent your anger, but you've found the wrong target." What a powerful move. The scorpion emperor trembled both physically and mentally. The white-eyed wolf rushed over and looked at the scorpion emperor mockingly. "How about it, little brother? Are you convinced now?" I'm convinced. I'm convinced. Chapter 1466. He defeated it with just one move. In the face of such terrifying strength, would it dare to be unconvinced? The white-eyed wolf smiled mockingly and looked at Qin Feiyang. All right, it wasn't easy to get such a little brother. Don't cripple it. Qin Feiyang released his foot, and the Scorpion King immediately got up. Its body quickly shrank and hid behind the white-eyed wolf. Qin Feiyang glanced at it and looked at the white-eyed wolf. He asked curiously, "How did you subdue it?" "For words, subdue others with virtue." The white-eyed wolf laughed. Heske. Qin Feiyang's face was full of disdain. This guy also knew how to subdue others with virtue? Don't be funny. He didn't know what despicable means he used. However, with the white-eyed wolf's current cultivation, it was enough to subdue the Scorpion King, who was at the peak of the 9-star combat emperor realm. No matter what means he used, it was enough to prove his ability. Little Qinzi, the white-eyed wolf, suddenly seemed to want to say something. Qin Feiyang made a silent gesture and turned to look at the place where Lu Xingqian disappeared. He said telepathically, "From now on, no matter what you say, don't say it out loud. Communicate in secret." Everyone nodded and understood. Qin Feiyang walked towards the tree of creation and asked, "What did you want to say just now?" The white-eyed wolf thought, seeing that I was alone, he wanted to take the opportunity to get rid of me. This Lu Xingqian is indeed up to no good. You have to be careful. And Qin Feiyang nodded. The white-eyed wolf glanced at the crocodile emperor and asked suspiciously, "What's up with it?" "It has also been subdued by me." Qin Feiyang smiled. The white-eyed wolf was stunned and laughed. "Amazing. With this guy's help and the Scorpion King, even if we face Lu Xingqian in the future, we are confident." "I can't be careless." Previously, he suffered at your hands because he didn't know about the existence of the Scorpion Emperor. Now that he knows, he won't be so easy to deal with. Qin Feiyang thought, "Just wait and see. Sooner or later, I will beat him until he kneels and begs for mercy." The white-eyed wolf snickered. The group quickly walked to the tree of creation. Looking at those fruits of fortune, Qin Feiyang's breathing quickened as he muttered under his breath, "Li Jian, Zhou Zheng, quickly count how many there are." "Yes." The two of them nodded. The white-eyed wolf said, "Stop counting. I've already counted them. There's a total of 290 pieces." "So many." Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled. For now, the Great Creation Pill did not lack any of the other medicinal ingredients. The only thing missing was the creation fruit. Of course, the most valuable thing was not the 290 fruits of fortune, but the tree of fortune. But now there was a problem. This tree of creation was too thick and tall. The ancient castle could not contain it at all. "I'm beginning to regret that I didn't bring Gooder in." Qin Feiyang sighed. If he couldn't take this tree of creation away, Lu Xingqian would definitely benefit in the end. "Go to hell, wolf cub." All of a sudden, a cold shout suddenly sounded in everyone's mind. The next moment, a figure, like a ghost, rushed out of the grass on the other side of the stream and went straight to the white-eyed wolf. Who else could it be but Ling Yunfei? "Wolf cub?" The white-eyed wolf was stunned for a moment. Then he was furious and shouted, "Damn it, you're courting death." He suddenly turned around with a cold light in his eyes. However, when he saw Ling Yunfei's face, his body suddenly stiffened and his eyes were full of surprise. How could this be? Was it an illusion? "Little Qin, quick, quick, quick. Take a look. Are my eyes playing tricks on me? Did I mistake you for someone else?" He stared at Ling Yunfei and pulled Qin Feiyang's clothes hard. He was a little incoherent. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. Swish! Ling Yunfei rushed over aggressively, but when he landed in front of the white-eyed wolf, his face was full of smiles. He opened his arms, and before the ingrate could react, he hugged the ingrate and said, "Wolf cub, long time no see. Did you miss me? This. The white-eyed wolf stammered, completely at a loss. Qin Feiyang laughed secretly. "You're not mistaken, and you're not dreaming. He's Ling Yunfei." The white-eyed wolf was stunned. When it came back to its senses, It pushed Ling Yunfei away forcefully and carefully looked at him from head to toe. What are you looking at? Do you think I've become more handsome after so many years? Ling Yunfei touched his chin with a narcissistic look. The white-eyed wolf ignored him and looked at Qin Feiyang, scratching its head and asking, "Why aren't you surprised at all?" Qin Feiyang said, "I already knew. Of course, I'm not surprised." "When did you know?" The white-eyed wolf asked again. Qin Feiyang briefly explained the situation. "Bastard! You've been lying to us for so long." Hearing this, the white-eyed wolf suddenly raised its paw and slammed it on Ling Yunfei's chest. Ling Yunfei covered his chest and said sadly, "You're too cruel. Do you want to kill me? I'm going to kill you today." The ingrate immediately stood up and pounced towards Ling Yunfei, baring his fangs and brandishing his claws. In the end, he gave Ling Yunfei a bear hug and said emotionally, "My brother, welcome back." "Brother, thank you," Ling Yunfei said in a choked voice. The word brother made his eyes brim with tears. Although so many years had passed, everyone's feelings for him were still the same, and there was no change at all. There was a saying that time could change everything, but it could not change brotherhood. A brother for a day, a lifetime of friendship. At this moment, under Qin Feiyang's instructions, Li Jian and Zhou Zhang climbed up the tree and picked the fruit of fortune. Soon, the two came down with a heaven-earth bag and handed it to Qin Feiyang. "We've really hit the jackpot this time." Qin Feiyang took the heaven-earth bag and was overjoyed. The crocodile emperor suddenly said, "There were originally 300 fruits of fortune here." 300? What about the other 10? Don't tell me that you ate them as fruits again, Qin Feiyang said. The crocodile emperor chuckled. Its meaning was self-evident. "You." Qin Feiyang looked at it helplessly. He really did not know what to say. Li Jian and Zhou Zhang were also speechless. Zhou Zhang asked telepathically, "By the way, young master, what should we do with the Tree of Fortune? We can't just leave it here and let Lu Xingqian take advantage of it." "I'm thinking about that too." Qin Feiyang frowned. "Let me keep it for now. I'll give it to you when we leave the divine site." At this moment, Ling Yunfei let go of the white-eyed wolf and looked at Qin Feiyang. "You?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. He looked at Ling Yunfei suspiciously and asked, "How are you going to keep it?" "Heh." Ling Yunfei grinned and waved his hand gently. A palm-sized black ancient castle appeared. Qin Feiyang looked at the ancient castle in surprise. The appearance of the ancient castle was exactly the same as the one in his hand. "This is also a space divine item," Ling Yunfei said proudly. "Space divine item." Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled. He thought to himself, "Are there two ancient castles?" "No, no, no." Ling Yunfei quickly waved his hand and said telepathically, "This is an imitation of the ancient castle in your hand." "Imitation?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "That's right. Although it's not as good as your ancient castle in some aspects, the space inside is much bigger than yours. Let me show you." Ling Yunfei waved his hand. Qin Feiyang and the others immediately felt a mysterious force shrouding them. The next moment, they appeared in an unfamiliar place. This was a vast expanse of land, and one couldn't see the end of it. However, there was nothing on the land except for mountains and trees. It was dead silent. "How is it?" Ling Yunfei looked at them proudly. White-eyed Wolf looked at Ling Yunfei and asked, "Are you sure it's Uncle Yuan and an imitation?" "Of course." Ling Yunfei nodded. "This old man is amazing. He can even refine a space divine item." White-eyed Wolf was amazed. Li Jian, Zhou Zhang, Crocodile Emperor, and Scorpion Emperor were also shocked. Ling Yunfei said, "I can only say that Uncle Yuan's power is far beyond your imagination." When Qin Feiyang and the ingrate heard this, they couldn't help but be fascinated. "Look around. I'll bring the tree of creation in," Ling Yunfei said and disappeared. White-eyed Wolf scanned the space in front of him and said, "Little Qin Zi, where do you think this old man came from?" "Who knows?" Qin Feiyang shrugged. As his cultivation became stronger, he felt that he could not see through Uncle Yuan. Crocodile Emperor said, "Big brother Qin, you've mentioned Uncle Yuan more than once. Who is he to you?" "Family," Qin Feiyang said. I see. Crocodile Emperor nodded in realization. With such a terrifying family member, it was no wonder that this guy's means were so amazing. Boom. Suddenly, a loud noise came from the mountain stream below. Everyone looked down and saw Ling Yunfei carrying the tree of creation in a valley. Didn't you say that Sister Qingzhu is here too? Where is she now? White-Eyed Wolf suddenly asked. Qin Feiyong said with a smile, She's taking a bath at the lake. Little Qin, tell me the truth. Did any sparks of love appear between old lovers when they met? White-Eyed Wolf said with a sinister smile. Crocodile Emperor also laughed sinisterly, looking extremely wretched. Qin Feiyong's face darkened and he said angrily, Don't talk nonsense. Others may not know about my relationship with her, but don't you know? It's because I know. That's why I said that. Boy, don't pretend. It's your blessing to be able to marry our sister Qingzhu. White-Eyed Wolf snorted. Qin Feiyong's veins on his forehead bulged. White-Eyed Wolf waved his paws and said, Okay. I won't say any more. Anyway, hurry up. Hurry up what? Qin Feiyong was suspicious. Wolf King rolled his eyes and said, Nonsense. Of course, hurry up and find a wife, and give birth to a fat boy so that I can enjoy being a godfather. Qin Feiyong could not help but clench his fists. Big brother Qin, I also want a godson. As long as you give birth to a fat boy, I'll immediately give this armor to him as a gift. Believe me, I'm serious. Crocodile Emperor patted his chest and said. White-Eyed Wolf was stunned and looked at Crocodile Emperor sneakily. Little Crocodile, not bad. I realize that I'm starting to like you. Wait. You guys are a little biased. Why must it be a fat boy? Isn't a daughter good? Crocodile Emperor said unhappily. A daughter is naturally the best. She'll be the apple of our eye in the future. White-Eyed Wolf said. Yes. Crocodile Emperor nodded. Get lost. Chapter 1467. What a bunch of idiots. The duo shook their heads. But then again, if Qin Feiyong really gave birth to a child, that child would be loved by everyone. How many people would be envious? Swoosh. Just as the duo was imagining things, Qin Feiyong suddenly turned to look at them. Young master, we didn't say anything. The two of them quivered. They immediately retreated a few steps and cautiously avoided Qin Feiyong. I'm telling you, don't learn from them. I don't expect anything else. I just hope that there are a few normal people around me. Qin Feiyong said with a dark face. Don't worry, we won't. The duo quickly waved their hands. Swoosh. Ling Yunfei had also finished planting the tree of creation. He looked at the pitiful Wolf King and the other two beasts, flew into the sky, and looked at Qin Feiyong. This is your fault. They are also worried about you. No need, Qin Feiyong said with a dark face. You're really stubborn. Ling Yunfei shook his head, moved closer to Qin Feiyong, and whispered, To be honest, I also want a godson. Qin Feiyong raised his hand and slapped him. Ling Yunfei laughed and retreated like lightning. Do you think I'm stupid like those three? Lil Ling, who are you calling stupid? I dare you to say it again. Wolf King and the other two beasts flew through the air, staring at Ling Yunfei angrily. Ling Yunfei was stunned. He looked at Crocodile King and Scorpion King. Aren't you old rivals? There are no eternal friends in this world, and no eternal enemies. Scorpion King snorted. Yes. Crocodile King nodded. Ling Yunfei was stunned. Wasn't this change a little too fast? People said that people's hearts were hard to predict. Now, it seemed that the hearts of these beasts were even harder to guess than those of humans. Qin Feiyong's head swelled as he looked at the man and the three beasts. He said, All right, get out of here. Ling Yunfei waved his hand, and everyone immediately appeared on the plains. What about Lu Xingqian? Li Jian asked. Qin Feiyong said, He's hiding in a spatial divine object, so we can't do anything about it. Let him be. It's a pity that we couldn't get rid of this threat. Ling Yunfei shook his head. He has been poisoned by this emperor. Even if he doesn't die, he will be crippled. What are you all worried about? Scorpion Emperor said disdainfully. Ling Yunfei chuckled at it. Little brother, this Lu Xingqian is not as simple as you think. You will understand in the future. White-eyed wolf patted Scorpion King's head meaningfully. The Scorpion King was a little confused. Let's not talk about it anymore. Go take a bath and find out what secrets are hidden in the water source. Ling Yunfei said as his eyes flashed. The group immediately went back the way they came and walked towards the lake. White-eyed wolf followed beside Ling Yunfei and whispered, "Little Ling Yunfei, you said that there are secrets hidden in the water source. Do you have any proof? Do I need proof? Look at the environment of the divine site. It's barren, but this place is an oasis. There must be something fishy about it." Ling Yunfei said, "That's true." White-eyed wolf nodded. Ling Yunfei glanced at Scorpion King and Crocodile King and said, "They put aside their grudges so quickly and worked together. Are you behind it?" "What do you mean by behind it? Do you know how to talk? I'm building a harmonious society. Understand?" Wolf King rolled his eyes. "SK." Ling Yunfei raised his middle finger with a look of disdain and said to himself, "But I'm a little curious. How did you do it?" "Simple. I'll just tell them one thing. If they follow me in the future, I guarantee that they'll have a good life." White-eyed wolf said proudly. Ugh. Ling Yunfei was stunned. Damn, it was that simple? Could this be the so-called charm? But no matter how he looked at it, he didn't realize that this wolf cub had such great charm. Not long later, the group returned to the lake once again. At this moment, it was already late at night. The lake was silent. "Where did you go just now?" Suddenly, a pleasant voice entered everyone's ears. The group was stunned. They turned their heads and saw Luo Qingzhu and the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house, as well as the Kuanpeng and the Ant Emperor, walking out from the darkness. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house was still wearing a veil. However, her graceful figure, wet long hair, sparkling skin, and faint body fragrance were filled with a fatal temptation. Luo Qingzhu was not inferior to her in the slightest. The mud on her body was washed clean, and her skin was as white as snow. She was wearing a long, snow-white dress, showing off her graceful figure. Her bright big eyes were like a pool of autumn water. Her long eyelashes trembled, and her black hair draped over her shoulders. She was like a woman in a painting, giving people a kind of elegant and refined beauty. "Sister Qingzhu, it's really you." The white-eyed wolf quickly shrank its body and jumped into Luo Qingzhu's arms, rubbing against Luo Qingzhu's chest with all its might. "Ruffian wolf." Luo Qingzhu was also overjoyed as she hugged the white-eyed wolf. "Damn, in broad daylight, in front of so many people, you actually dared to take advantage of a girl so unscrupulously. What a beast." The Scorpion Emperor, the Crocodile Emperor, the Ant Emperor, and the Spider Emperor looked at the white-eyed wolf who was rubbing against Luo Qingzhu's arms with all their might. And the Scorpion Emperor suddenly noticed the two beasts. Scorpion Emperor? The two beasts also saw the Scorpion Emperor. 3 pairs of eyes, 6 eyeballs, stared at each other. "What's going on? You're also a captive?" The Ant Emperor and the two beasts came back to their senses and asked the Scorpion Emperor. The Scorpion Emperor said, "I'm not a captive. I'm willing. What about you guys? What's going on?" "We're captives, but now we're willing." The Ant Emperor and the two beasts laughed. "Haha, I didn't expect that there would be a day when we would fight side by side." The Scorpion Emperor laughed. "Yeah, it's just like the old saying, the world is unpredictable." The Ant Emperor and the two beasts were also filled with emotions. "SK, just 3 useless things. They're dispensable." The Crocodile Emperor said coldly. The Ant Emperor and the other two beasts glared at each other. "You're not convinced? Come, come, come. The 3 of you come at me together. If you can even hurt a hair of mine, I'll consider it my loss." The Crocodile Emperor raised its head and looked down at them arrogantly. "Don't be so smug. I'll teach you a lesson sooner or later." The 3 beasts snorted. "I'm afraid you'll never have the chance." The Crocodile Emperor smiled disdainfully. Sigh. Qin Feiyang sighed helplessly. He turned to look at the mists of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion and asked, "Why are you guys here?" "We heard fighting over there just now, so we're going to take a look. What's going on over there?" The Miss of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion asked. It's Lu Xingqian, Qin Feiyang said. The Miss of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion raised her eyebrows and said, Why is he on the first floor? I was also puzzled at first, but in the end, I came to the conclusion that the rule force in the miracle should only recognize cultivation. Wait, didn't your mother tell you about this before? Qin Feiyang said. Nothing like this has happened before. My mother doesn't know either. This Lu Xingqian is on the first floor. It's not a good thing for us. The Miss of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion was worried. Actually, it's nothing. Just now, he suffered a great loss in the hands of the White-Eyed Wolf and the Scorpion Emperor. The only thing that worries me is, what exactly is he planning? What does he want me to do for him? Qin Feiyang frowned. At the same time, on the plains, Lu Xingqian appeared out of thin air. At this moment, his complexion had returned to normal. His essence, energy, and spirit had reached their peak. This was enough to explain. He had already removed the Scorpion Emperor's poison. As soon as he appeared, he scanned his surroundings. Seeing that there was no one around, he looked at the tree of good fortune and a sneer appeared on his face. Qin Feiyang, oh Qin Feiyang, you've been wandering for so long. Don't you know that the higher you climb, the more painful it is to fall? Tree of good fortune, it's mine. You'll never be able to take it away. He muttered to himself, and like a ghost, he silently flew in the direction of the lake. By the lake, everyone sat together, chatting and laughing, and the atmosphere was harmonious. Time passed. The horizon began to brighten. Qin Feiyang retracted his smile, stood up and looked at everyone and said, Let's stop reminiscing about the past. It's time to get down to business. Everyone also stood up, their expressions becoming serious. Scorpion Emperor, Ant Emperor, Spider Emperor, you guys go guard the surroundings of the lake. If there's any movement, inform us immediately. I suspect that Lu Xingqian might not have left. He might be hiding somewhere nearby. Qin Feiyang thought. Understood. The three beasts nodded. Their bodies quickly shrunk to the size of a grain of rice. They retracted their auras and disappeared into the grass like lightning. Qin Feiyang then looked at Wolf King and said, Your current cultivation is not enough. Don't worry about the outside world for the time being. Go to the castle and cultivate. That's exactly what I wanted. White-Eyed Wolf chuckled. Actually, its mood was not as good as it looked on the surface. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house, Li Jin, and the four beasts of the Scorpion Emperor were one thing, but Ling Yunfei and Luo Qingzhu had already reached the 9-star War Emperor. Of course, it was happy for the two of them from the bottom of its heart, but at the same time, it couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. Naturally, the thoughts of the White-Eyed Wolf could not be hidden from his eyes. He secretly comforted him. Don't worry, with your talent and time, you will be stronger than everyone here. White-Eyed Wolf was startled and teased. Does that include you? If you can surpass me, of course it's a good thing. Qin Feiyang laughed secretly. Not sincere at all. White-Eyed Wolf coldly snorted. Qin Feiyang shook his head helplessly. What he said was the truth. Why didn't he believe it? With a wave of his hand, he sent the White-Eyed Wolf to the castle. Then, he swept his gaze across the lake, his eyes flickering. Ling Yunfei asked, You suspect that the trick is hidden in this lake? Yes. The lake is located in the center of this mountain range. This shouldn't be a coincidence. Qin Feiyang nodded. Boss Qin, I've already searched this place many times and didn't find anything suspicious. Aren't you thinking too much? Crocodile Emperor frowned. Maybe you missed something? Qin Feiyang looked down at it and said, Impossible. Crocodile Emperor shook its head. Regardless of whether there is anything below, we have to go down and look for it. Li Jin, Zhou Zhang, you guys go together? Ling Yunfei, Qingzhu, you guys go with Kuanping. Ruoxue, you come with me and Crocodile Emperor. Be careful. If you encounter danger, don't face it alone. Call for help in time. Let's go. Chapter 1468. The lake was very deep, but the lake water was as clear as a mirror. Under the guidance of the Crocodile Emperor, Qin Feiyong and the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house continued to sink. The cool lake water made people happy. Not long after, 2 people and 1 beast sank to the bottom of the lake. At the bottom of the lake, thick mud was piled up. Looking around, there were no creatures. If one was here alone, one would be afraid. Because it was too quiet. It was so quiet that it made one's hair stand. Qin Feiyong scanned the surroundings and transmitted his voice. Let's start searching. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house nodded. But the Crocodile Emperor was careless along the way. Time passed by slowly. The Crocodile Emperor began to get impatient. It looked at Qin Feiyong and the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house and said, "Brothers and sisters, I have really searched below. I even dug 3 feet into the ground. I dare to guarantee with my life that there is nothing suspicious here." Qin Feiyong smiled and said, "If you don't want to, you can go up and wait for us." Okay. I will accompany you." The Crocodile Emperor was helpless. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house suddenly said, "Little Crocodile, I want to ask you a few questions." "What questions?" The Crocodile Emperor was suspicious. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house said, "Where did the water in this lake come from?" "Nonsense. Of course, it accumulated when it rained," the Crocodile Emperor said. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house said, "Then let me ask you again. Has the water in this lake ever dried up?" The Crocodile Emperor thought for a moment and shook its head. No. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house frowned. She was quite surprised. "What's wrong?" The Crocodile Emperor looked at her, puzzled. "I heard from the Ant Emperor that it rarely rains here, right?" The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house did not answer but asked instead, "Yes. It is common for it to rain once every few years or even decades." The Crocodile Emperor nodded. "That's right." The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house said, her eyes shining. "What is right? My dear sister, can you make it clear once and for all? You are making me very uncomfortable." The Crocodile Emperor was a little annoyed. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house glanced at it and smiled. "It only rains once. Even if the temperature here is good, there will be signs of evaporation." "What do you mean?" The Crocodile Emperor still did not understand. Qin Feiyong began to ponder. Traces of evaporation. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something. He looked at the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house and the Crocodile Emperor and said, "Wait for me here. I'll go to the shore and take a look." "There's no need to look. I've already observed it. On the shore of the lake, there are no other traces of water other than the water at the current level," the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house said. "You mean?" Qin Feiyong was bewildered. "That's right." The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion nodded. "Wait. Can you say something I can understand? If you continue like this, I'm going to get angry." Emperor Crocodile roared. Why did he sound like he was speaking in riddles? The young lady of Longfeng House glanced at the Crocodile Emperor, then looked at Qin Feiyong and said, "You explain to it." After saying that, he turned around and continued his search. "Speak." The Crocodile Emperor looked at Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong shook his head and smiled. He said telepathically, "No matter where the water is, no matter what the weather is like, will it evaporate over time?" "Yes." The Crocodile Emperor said. "After evaporation, will the water level decrease?" Qin Feiyong asked again. "That's right." The Crocodile Emperor nodded. "Isn't that right? The water in this lake will also evaporate, and the water level will also decrease. After the water level decreases, there will definitely be traces of water left on the soil or rocks by the shore." But Ruoxue just said that she did not find any other traces of water on the shore. What does this mean? It means that the water here has not evaporated. Is this phenomenon reasonable? Qin Feiyong asked. "It's not reasonable," the Crocodile Emperor said without thinking. But as soon as it finished speaking, it was stunned. I understand. You mean that the water here is not ordinary water. Even if the sun shines, it will not evaporate. Is that right?" The Crocodile Emperor looked at the two of them. The Miss of Longfeng House's face twitched. She shook her head and said, "This child is unteachable." Qin Feiyong was also helpless. "Is it wrong?" The crocodile emperor was suspicious. Of course it's wrong. Now we are in the water. Look at the water here, and ordinary water. What's the difference? Qin Feiyang said. The crocodile emperor glanced around the lake and shook its head. I don't seem to find anything different. Nonsense. This is just ordinary water. What can you find? What we mean is that the water here is indeed evaporating. But at the same time, there is water flowing into the lake. In other words, whether it is wind or rain or something else, the water in this lake has always been at the same level. And this is the reason why we are looking for it. As long as we understand this, the phenomenon of this mountain range will naturally be clear, Qin Feiyang said. So that's how it is. The crocodile emperor finally understood. It looked at the two of them and said unhappily, "Why didn't you tell me earlier? Why did you make me spend so much effort to figure it out? So troublesome." Qin Feiyang and the mist looked at each other helplessly. This was a typical example of being all brawn and no brains. However, although they found something unusual, Qin Feiyang did not find anything in the lake after an entire day of searching and even digging 3 feet into the ground like the crocodile emperor said. Not only Qin Feiyang, but Ling Yunfei and the rest also came up empty-handed. Time flew by and night fell. Everyone returned to the shore one after another with their brows tightly knitted together. Similarly, there were 10 suns. The other places were dry and cracked. Not a single blade of grass grew. Only this place was full of vitality. It was obviously impossible to say that there was nothing wrong with this place. But where was the root of the problem? Qin Feiyang looked up and scanned the lake. He looked rather irritated. The night was getting darker. Wisps of cool wind blew past, making everyone feel comfortable. But the worry in everyone's heart grew thicker. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang seemed to have noticed something. His gaze locked onto a certain spot on the right side of the lake with a trace of suspicion in his eyes. Everyone noticed Qin Feiyang's abnormality and looked over as well. At first glance, there was nothing wrong. The lush vegetation covered everything. But upon closer inspection, everyone slowly realized that there seemed to be a gap there. It looked like a river channel connected to the lake. The crocodile emperor also looked over and asked suspiciously, "Is there a problem?" "What is that?" Qin Feiyang asked. "That's the stream we saw around the tree of creation. The stream not only traverses the entire plain, but also the entire mountain range," the crocodile emperor said. "Traverses the entire mountain range." When Qin Feiyang heard this, his gaze trembled slightly. He asked, "Where is the source of this stream?" The miss of the Dragon Phoenix house said, "Feiyang, you mean this stream is the root of the problem?" "That's right." Qin Feiyang nodded and said, "Follow me." With that, he rushed towards the stream. Everyone looked at each other and quickly followed. Very soon, the group arrived at the stream. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. The weeds and shrubs on both sides instantly turned into ashes. The full view of the stream immediately appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Qin Feiyang scanned the water surface. After a long while, his eyes flashed and he said, "Observe the water surface carefully." Everyone scanned the water surface. The water surface was very calm. There was no flow at all. But upon closer inspection, one would realize the water in the stream was quietly converging into the lake. In other words, it was the water from the stream that flowed into the lake continuously, causing the water level of the lake to remain on a line. The miss of the Dragon Phoenix house's eyes gradually lit up. She asked, "Little crocodile, there is only one entrance to the stream. Does it connect to the lake?" "There's another one over there." The crocodile emperor pointed to the opposite bank where they were standing at the moment. "Let's go and take a look," Qin Feiyang said. Under the lead of the crocodile emperor, the group quickly came to the mouth of the stream. The mouth of the stream was also covered by lush weeds and shrubs. If one didn't look carefully, it would be hard to find. Just like before, Qin Feiyang waved his hand and quickly removed the weeds and shrubs. He carefully observed the water surface. The water surface here was also calm and without waves. But after careful observation, they found that the mouth of the stream was also pouring water into the lake. This undoubtedly confirmed Qin Feiyang's guess. Usually, Streams like this that were connected to the lake at both ends would flow in and out at the same time. In other words, the water was circulating, but here, the two mouths of the stream were both pouring water into the lake. That meant that the stream had another source, and the water in the lake came from the source of the stream. Qin Feiyang turned to look at the crocodile emperor and asked, "Did you notice this detail before?" "Not really. I always thought that the stream and the lake were circulating." The crocodile emperor shook his head. "This is your carelessness, you know?" Qin Feiyang said. The crocodile emperor smiled embarrassedly. Qin Feiyang shook his head, looked at everyone and said, "Now we will split into two groups. Me, Rushuang, and the ant emperor will go together. Ling Yunfei, Li Jian, you will go with the crocodile emperor. We will follow the two mouths of the streams and keep searching. Remember, don't miss out on any details. We must find the source of the stream. I have a hunch that we may find a great treasure this time." Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. His tone was filled with unconcealable excitement. He let the crocodile emperor and Ling Yunfei go together. On the one hand, the crocodile emperor had armor. If Lu Xingqian was really hiding in the dark and wanted to harm them, they would have the ability to fight back. On the other hand, Ling Yunfei also had a space treasure. If the crocodile emperor couldn't defeat Lu Xingqian, there was still a way out, which was to enter the space treasure. As for his team, with the ancient castle, everyone's safety could be guaranteed. All right, everyone nodded. Qin Feiyang turned his head and glanced at the jungle in the night. His eyes flashed coldly, and he said, "Then let's go." Immediately, the group of people split into two groups, cutting through the thorns and quickly disappeared into the mountains. "You guys go ahead and search. I will wait to reap the benefits." Not long after Qin Feiyang and the others disappeared, Lu Xingqian walked out from a dark place. He glanced at the two mouths of the streams and muttered to himself. Immediately, Chapter 1469. The stream meandered like a long dragon, crossing all parts of the mountain range. "I finally understand." The miss of the Dragon Phoenix house looked at the mountain range and smiled. "Understand what?" Qin Feiyang was curious. "This stream is equivalent to the meridians of this mountain range. It nourishes this land, allowing the plants on this land to maintain their vitality." The miss of the Dragon Phoenix house said, "That's what I think too." Qin Feiyang nodded. The Ant Emperor suddenly said, "Boss Qin, there's a question I want to ask." "Go ahead," Qin Feiyang said. The Ant Emperor said, "If there really is a treasure at the source of the stream, how should we distribute it with so many of us?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. He had never thought about this problem. "Of course, you don't have to consider Li Jian and us. Anyway, we've already followed you. What's yours is ours. But this Miss Ruoxue beside you, as well as Ling Yunfei and Luo Qingzhu, even though they have a good relationship with you, you can't let them work for nothing," the Ant Emperor said. The miss of the Dragon Phoenix house was stunned. She turned to look at the Ant Emperor and smiled. "I suddenly realized that you're so cute. Is that so? Then let me rub it?" The Ant Emperor smiled. "Rub what?" The miss of the Dragon Phoenix house was puzzled. But she suddenly realized that the Ant Emperor's gaze was very dishonest and was staring at a certain part of her body. "Bastard, you're looking for a beating." The miss of the Dragon Phoenix house flew into a rage out of humiliation. She knocked on the Ant Emperor's head, causing it to cry out in pain. "Serves you right." The Spider Emperor and Scorpion Emperor were gloating at the side. The Ant Emperor snorted coldly. "It's better than you guys. You have a perverted heart, but no guts." The miss of the Dragon Phoenix house stared at the three beasts and said coldly, "If you say anything more, I'll cripple you." She was actually being teased by a few beasts. If this were to spread out, where would she put her face? The three beasts smiled embarrassedly and immediately became obedient. However, the Ant Emperor's words reminded Qin Feiyang. He really had to think about this matter carefully. Let's not talk about Ling Yunfei and Luo Qingzhu. After all, they were on the same side. However, the young lady of Longfeng House was an outsider. Along the way, she had been constantly giving advice and suggestions. Furthermore, he had contributed quite a bit. If you didn't share some with her, it wouldn't be right. The Dragon Phoenix Pavilion's young lady muttered to herself for a while before smiling. Actually, you don't have to consider me. Qin Feiyong was taken aback. What did that mean? I didn't enter the divine ruin hoping to obtain many treasures. I just came to see the world and gain some experience. Moreover, although there are divine arts and divine weapons on the first level, they are limited. It's far inferior to the second floor. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house smiled. His meaning was clear. Her mother and teacher would help her find more divine items on the second level. As for the items on the first floor, it was up to him to decide if he wanted them or not. Qin Feiyong forced a smile and said, "How can I accept that? I'm fine. As long as it's useful to you, you can take it without worry." The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house smiled. But hearing this, Qin Feiyong wasn't happy at all. Instead, he frowned. "What's wrong? Are you suspecting that I have ulterior motives?" The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house said, No. I just can't figure out why you two are suddenly so good to me." "I'm not used to it now," Qin Feiyong said. "You say it when I'm good to you, but you also say it when I'm not good to you. How pretentious." The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house rolled her eyes at him. Qin Feiyong rubbed the back of his head, smiled awkwardly, and nodded. "All right, I won't be pretentious in the future." The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house shook her head and laughed. Although the two of them were talking, their footsteps never stopped. Soon, they once again arrived at the plain where the Tree of Creation was. But this was not the source of the stream. They searched all the way down, leaving the plain and entering the mountains. Time passed quietly. Midnight. The two of them followed the stream and stepped into a valley. The widest part of the valley was 5 to 6 meters, and the narrowest part was only enough for 2 or 3 people to pass through. It was like a winding path. On both sides, the mountains were steep and filled with weeds and shrubs. Qin Feiyong and the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house waded through the stream and advanced side by side. The Ant Emperor and the other two beasts stayed obediently on Qin Feiyong's shoulder. The Spider Emperor suddenly said, "Have you noticed that the temperature here is getting lower and lower? In such a deep valley, the temperature is naturally lower than outside. What's so strange about it?" The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house said, "That's true." The Spider Emperor thought for a moment and nodded. Not long later, the road ahead suddenly became very narrow. It was about half a meter wide, only enough for one person to pass through. And the water here was getting deeper and deeper. It seemed to be a low-lying area. "I'll walk in front." Qin Feiyong reached out and stopped the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house. He walked in front and vigilantly paid attention to the movements in the water. Although the Crocodile Emperor had said that there were no other creatures here, it was never wrong to be careful. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house was stunned. She shook her head and muttered, "This little guy is quite concerned about others." She followed him with light steps. As the two of them walked, the stream water splashed. And this narrow road was also very long. The two of them walked for less than an hour, but they still couldn't see the end. The mountains on both sides were getting steeper and steeper. The temperature was also getting lower and lower. If one looked down from above, this place was like a line of sky. After walking for a while, the two of them walked out of the narrow road, and the scenery that entered their line of sight caused the two of them to be somewhat stunned. There was a pool in front of them. It was very large. It was about 100 feet in diameter. It was circular. The pool was still in the valley, and on the other side, just like this one, was also a narrow road. Qin Feiyong walked ashore, observed the terrain for a while, and said, "This should be the hinterland of the valley." While Qin Feiyong was observing the terrain, the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house was staring at the pool. Suddenly, she seemed to have discovered something as she looked at the streams on both sides of the pool. A trace of surprise appeared in her bright eyes as she said, "This is the end of the stream." Qin Feiyong was startled and quickly scanned the water surface. As expected, although the water surface was calm and there was almost no movement of the water, the withered grass and fallen leaves on the water surface were slowly moving towards the streams at both ends. This meant that the water was flowing. It was just that it was difficult to see with the naked eye. "We finally found it." The three beasts looked at the pool, their eyes filled with anticipation. Crash! Suddenly, the sound of waves could be heard. Qin Feiyang and the others looked over, only to see Ling Yunfei and the others walking over from the other side of the valley under the lead of the Crocodile Emperor. Seeing Qin Feiyang and the other two, the group of people also started to greet them from afar. "How is it? Did you find anything?" A moment later, the group came to Qin Feiyang's side and asked. "That's it." Qin Feiyang pointed to the pool in front of them. Everyone was immediately overjoyed as they looked down at the pool. "I've been here before," the Crocodile Emperor said. "What was the result?" Everyone looked at it. The Crocodile Emperor shook its head. Ling Yunfei raised his eyebrows and said, "I don't believe this. Let's go down and take a look." After saying that, he directly jumped into the pool, splashing waves. "Crocodile Emperor, you guys stay outside." Qin Feiyang instructed the Crocodile Emperor and the other two beasts as he followed them into the pool. Ling Yunfei, Luo Qingzhu, the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house, and Li Jian also jumped into the pool after Qin Feiyang. The pool was like a well, straight down, unfathomable. The group of 7 quickly sank. While sinking, they were also carefully paying attention to the stone walls around the pool. The stone walls were covered with moss. The deeper they went, the lower the water temperature. About 100 breaths. The 7 of them finally sank to the bottom of the pool. However, looking around and at the bottom of the pool, they didn't find anything unusual. The bottom of the pool was piled up with pieces of rocks, but the surface was very flat, with some aquatic plants growing on it. Qin Feiyang lowered his head and calmly pondered. The source of the stream was equivalent to the source of the water. Since the source of the water was here, no matter what, there should be underground water constantly emerging from the bottom of the pool, because only in this way could the water here continuously flow into the lake. Thinking of this, he glanced at the bottom of the pool again, then squatted down and reached out to touch the stones at the bottom of the pool. At that moment, he noticed a clue. On these stones, except for the aquatic plants, there was not much sediment. This was obviously not right. One had to know. Usually, no one would come to this pool, and this pool was very deep. The most important thing was that this pool had existed for many years. Logically speaking, there should be a lot of sediment at the bottom of the pool, such as mud. There was only one explanation for this situation. There was water constantly seeping from the bottom of the pool, washing away some of the sediment. There was one more point. He felt that the bottom of the pool was man-made. In other words, it was paved by people. Otherwise, these rocks could not be piled up so neatly. "Come on, everyone help." Qin Feiyang's eyes became excited. "What's wrong?" Everyone looked at him in surprise. Qin Feiyang said secretly, "Move these rocks away." "Okay." Everyone nodded and worked together to forcibly remove the rocks one by one. But soon they found that there was a layer of rocks below. "Continue," Qin Feiyang said. Moving away layer after layer, it felt as if there was no end. However, the group of people looked excited, because as the layers of rocks continued to be removed, they could already sense obvious fluctuations. These fluctuations were the fluctuations from the underground water. And the temperature of the water was also dropping rapidly. Ling Yunfei said, "Is there an underground river below?" "It shouldn't be. If there is an underground river, the movement of the water gushing out will not be so small." Qin Feiyang shook his head. After a while, Qin Feiyang and others had dug so deep that they did not know how deep they had been, but they still had not reached the end. But the water temperature had dropped to an extreme. Everyone felt as if they were soaking in an ice cellar, and their whole body was filled with a chill. "This is too troublesome. Get out of the way, and I'll punch through it directly." Ling Yunfei gradually lost his patience and said angrily. Chapter 1470. Miss Longfeng nodded and said, "What Feiyang said makes sense. After all, we don't know what's down there. It's better to be careful." Luo Qingzhu glanced at Miss Longfeng, then looked at Ling Yunfei and said, "I've told you countless times not to be so anxious when something happens. Why can't you change?" "I was just saying it casually. Is there a need for all of you to attack me together?" Ling Yunfei's face was filled with grievance. however. He glanced at Miss Longfeng and Luo Qingzhu from the corner of his eyes. His gaze was somewhat intriguing. Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice, all right, hurry up and dig. Another moment passed. The rocks around them had almost piled up to the brim. Finally, wisps of white light shot out from the cracks in the rocks. We've reached the end. Everyone was in high spirits. You guys back off first. This place is probably empty. Don't step on it. I'll do it alone, Qin Feiyang said. Ling Yunfei and the rest immediately retreated to the side. Qin Feiyang carefully lifted one stone after another. The light became more and more dazzling. But that cold air also became more and more terrifying. The surrounding water seemed to be about to freeze. The group of people couldn't help but rub their hands. The temperature here was even colder than a world of ice and snow. Qin Feiyang raised his brows slightly. Why don't we evaporate the water here first? Zhou Zheng suggested. Don't. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. To evaporate the water, one needed to use battle qi. The things at the bottom of the lake were still unknown. What if they were damaged by battle qi? Although the water temperature was extremely low, it was not a threat to the battle emperor. There was no need to take the risk. Qin Feiyang continued to move the rocks. Boom. Suddenly, the rocks under his feet all collapsed in an instant, revealing a 3 to 4 meter hole. Qin Feiyang also fell down. The expressions of Ling Yunfei and the rest changed. They hurriedly ran to the entrance of the cave and looked down. They immediately saw a stone room. That's right. It was a stone room. It was square. It was about 10 meters in diameter. The stone room was also filled with water. At this moment, Qin Feiyang was standing in the stone room, still in a state of shock. Are you okay? The Longfeng Pavilion's young miss asked with concern as she looked at Qin Feiyang. I'm fine. Qin Feiyang shook his head and began to look around the stone room. The water temperature here was even lower. The cold air was like a tide, crazily rushing into Qin Feiyang's body, causing his limbs to feel numb and stiff. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang fixed his eyes on the center of the stone chamber. Not only Qin Feiyang, but Ling Yunfei and the others also jumped down one after another. Looking at the center of the stone chamber, their eyes were filled with amazement. In the center of the stone room, there were 3 floating crystals. These 3 crystals were of the same size, only the size of an infant's fist. They had distinct edges and corners, like 3 crystals, sparkling and translucent, suffused with a hazy radiance. What is it? I've never seen it before. Li Jian asked in surprise. I've seen it. Qin Feiyang said word by word. Li Jian looked at Qin Feiyang and realized that Qin Feiyang was clenching his fists tightly, his expression filled with excitement. What is it? Li Jian asked. Qin Feiyang said, Sunflower water essence. That's right. It's the sunflower water essence. Treasures formed naturally by heaven and earth are even rarer than phoenix feathers and qilin horns. But I never thought that there would be 3 of them here, Ling Yunfei said. Most importantly, it is a material used to refine 5 elements universe Dan. Qin Feiyang said, 5 elements universe Dan? What kind of pill is this? Li Jian and Zhou Zheng were surprised. Qin Feiyang looked at the 2 of them and said, a pill that can allow the War King to break through a small realm in an instant. What? Their eyes trembled. One had to know. The War King was not a War King, but a War Emperor. There was a huge gap between each small realm and the War King. It was even more difficult to break through a small realm. Of course, opening the door of potential was another matter. However, in this world, how many people could open the door of potential? Basically, it was a down-to-earth cultivation. Therefore, in their eyes, the 5 elements universe Dan was a divine pill. To the creatures of this world, especially those who had already broken through to the War King but had yet to step into the 9-star War King, it was a fatal temptation. Li Jian and Zhou Zheng instinctively reached out to grab the 3 sunflower water essence. Don't move. Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei's expressions changed as they shouted in unison. What's wrong? The 2 of them quivered and immediately turned to look at Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice, according to the pill scripture, the sunflower water essence cannot be touched with your hands. Why? The two of them were startled and asked suspiciously. Qin Feiyang said, "Once you touch it with your hands, it will immediately melt and turn into a pool of water. Then, it will no longer have any value." When the two of them heard this, they immediately retracted their arms and cried out. "That was close," Li Jian said. "Then what do we have to do so that they won't melt?" "Jade artifact. And it must be a flawless jade." Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and a jade box appeared. In the mortal world, any piece of jade, as long as it was authentic, was enough for a family to live for a long time. A flawless jade was naturally more valuable. It was enough for a family to live a carefree life for the rest of their lives. However, for a xiuzha, especially one with Qin Feiyang's cultivation, the value of jade was not great. Similarly, in the eyes of cultivators, jade was not that precious. For example, Qin Feiyang's universe bag was filled with countless jade artifacts, and they were basically all precious jade. At this moment, the jade box he took out was completely dark green and bright. There was not the slightest flaw to be found. "Go." Qin Feiyang handed the jade box to Li Jian. Li Jian nodded, grabbed the jade box, and walked over. He carefully put the 3 pieces of Kuei water essence into the jade box, then closed the lid, turned to Qin Feiyang, and handed it to Qin Feiyang. "Thank you." Just as Qin Feiyang reached out to take it, a laugh suddenly rang out. Following closely, a figure appeared out of thin air, took the jade box, and quickly retreated to the side. Qin Feiyang and the others were stunned. They quickly turned their heads to look, and their faces suddenly became gloomy. This person who suddenly appeared, who else could it be but Lu Xingqian? Qin Feiyang said angrily, "Why are you here? I clearly let the Crocodile Emperor and the others guard outside." Lu Xingqian opened the jade box, glanced at the 3 pieces of Kuei water essence, then closed the lid again, looked up at Qin Feiyang and laughed. "You are too naive. With just these 4 small fries, how can they stop me?" Ling Yunfei said in a deep voice. "But we really didn't hear any sounds of fighting above. I didn't fight with them at all. Even now, they don't know that I'm here." Lu Xingqian laughed. "How did you do it?" Qin Feiyang said. "It's very simple. I followed you all the way, but I didn't go inside the valley, but above it. When I saw you enter the pool and didn't appear for a long time, I guessed that you might have found something. So, I used the Space Divine item to sneak in here." Lu Xingqian said. "Your Space Divine item can fly?" Qin Feiyang frowned. "No. But you also know that once a person enters the Space Divine item, the Space Divine item will be exposed outside. And because of the rule power here, the exposed Space Divine item can't float in the void and will take the initiative to sink. So, as long as I find the right place to jump down from above the valley and enter the Space Divine item, the exposed Space Divine item will naturally sink directly into the pool." Lu Xingqian laughed. "Amazing." Qin Feiyang's face was gloomy. "You flatter me. I learned it from you. However, I really have to thank you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have found these 3 pieces of Kuei water essence." Lu Xingqian laughed. "Do you think you can take away the Kuei water essence when it's in your hands?" Ling Yunfei smiled coldly. Before he could finish his sentence, a group of people immediately surrounded Lu Xingqian without a word. Lu Xingqian glanced at the group of people, looked at Ling Yunfei and Luo Qingzhu, and said with a smile, "Although I haven't seen you in the spiritual state before, I've heard of your names. What do you want to say?" Ling Yunfei said. Lu Xingqian asked curiously, "I want to know why you didn't die?" Moreover, in these few short years, his cultivation has actually surpassed mine and Brother Qin's. This is too outrageous. Ling Yunfei said, "I'll tell you when you're about to die." "Die? You don't think that just because I fell in your hands once, you can really compete with me, Lu Xingqian?" Lu Xingqian raised the corner of his mouth, his face full of contempt. "Whether you can or not, you'll know after you try." "Do it." Ling Yunfei suddenly shouted coldly. Except for Qin Feiyang, everyone's aura burst out. The pool instantly turned into ashes. The entire valley was also collapsing and shaking. "What's going on?" The Crocodile Emperor and the other beasts were shocked. "In my eyes, you're not even as good as ants." Lu Xingqian glanced at Ling Yunfei and the others. A wisp of divine consciousness emerged, and divine power rolled in all directions. The mountains and valleys above directly collapsed. The crocodile emperor and the other beasts were directly buried below. Bastard! What the hell is going on? The four beasts roared and revealed their true forms, their ferocious auras overflowing. Ah! At the next moment, accompanied by a few screams, Ling Yunfei and the others flew out from the ground. But they didn't fly out by themselves. They were blasted out. Their bodies were dripping with blood, and their faces were pale. The Ant Emperor hurriedly jumped up and caught them with his back. He asked in surprise, "How did you get injured? What exactly happened down there?" "It's Lu Xingqian. What a powerful divine consciousness. With our current strength, we can't stop it at all." The six of them were horrified. When the Crocodile Emperor and the other beasts were buried, Lu Xingqian also attacked them. In just the blink of an eye, they were seriously injured. "Lu Xingqian? Why is he here? Where's the boss?" The Ant Emperor shouted. Boom! Before he finished speaking, a deafening sound came from the ground, and the ground in front of them cracked. Lu Xingqian rushed up with a wisp of divine consciousness. "How dare you appear in front of me? You're courting death." The Scorpion Emperor raised his huge tail and spat out a large amount of venom, rushing toward Lu Xingqian like a waterfall. "You're the one courting death. When we were on the plains, I seem to have said that I would let you see my strength." You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.